This conference will now be recorded.
During the meeting are encouraged to attend in person in our chambers or send comments to the town clerk prior to the meeting. Town Clerk Avery, would you please call the roll?
Commissioner Pugh,
Here.
Vice Mayor DeHassett,
Present.
Commissioner Beechelip,
Present.
Commissioner Cos,
Here.
and Mayor Hobart.
Here. Everybody please rise. Join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Are there any additions, deletions, or modifications to the agenda?
Well, why don't we, I'd like to see us move number 11 to the consent agenda.
Is there discussion on that? Did we discuss that during our meetings?
We didn't discuss that one.
Chrissy, is that possible?
Yes, if that's the pleasure of the commission, it can be moved to consent.
All right, is there a consensus here?
Yep.
Yes.
Everybody good? All right, we will move that to the consent agenda. Number 10, just remind me when we get there.
And isn't number 9 withdrawn?
And yes, number 9 is withdrawn.
And I think we had talked about moving, just let me find it, item,
I believe it's item 14.
was it 14? I thought it was 14. Yes, item number 14, right after the presentation from the gentleman from the bank.
Everybody good with that?
I'm good with that.
Moving the gentleman up closer to the front
Yes.
Sure.
so we can then leave? Okay, so that's number 14, so. All right, anything else? Any other changes here? Okay, I'll entertain a motion on the approval of the agenda as amended.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
To the lady right there. All opposed? Motion carries unanimously. All right, we would like to welcome Mayor Greg Weiss, Palm Beach County Board of Commissioners, who has graciously accepted our invitation to come speak to us. Thank you so much.
My pleasure. Good afternoon, or good evening now, I guess, Mayor, Commissioners. It's a pleasure to be with you this evening and be able to speak to you. I think when the mayor originally extended her invitation, I was trying to think about, the issues that would be relevant to discussion tonight. So let me start by talking about a few of the things we're working on in the county, and then we'll move into some items that I think are specifically important to your community. As you know, the big issues that we are facing, and it's no surprise, I think, to anybody, but housing affordability for folks here in Palm Beach County. We saw prices increase and rents go up over the last year, in some places over 30%. And quite frankly, that's difficult on our working folks in Palm Beach County. As you know, we have our largest economic sector is our tourism sector, and there's a lot of service employees and so forth. And those are not necessarily the highest paying jobs, as we're aware. So it's been something that we've been focused on, and as we've seen these recent increases, something we have even gotten deeper focus to try and come up with additional ways to help people be able to both stay in their homes and people be able to find a new home that they can afford. I'm pleased to say that on the past November's ballot, we had a bond referendum, and the residents of Palm Beach County supported that referendum. So that will allow the Palm Beach County Board of County Commissioners at some point in time to issue bonds that will then be utilized to help finance those projects that have affordable and workforce housing components to them. That money will be expected to be repaid, and then that money then can be reused over and over again to allow us to continue to build additional homes for folks in Palm Beach County. Economically, I mean, we're seeing tremendous growth in the county. Tourism still is our largest sector, followed by agriculture. If you're not aware, we have 440,000 acres in ag production in Palm Beach County, which makes us one of the largest agricultural counties in not only in the country, but we are the largest east of the Mississippi River. So that's an important sector. But we're seeing a lot of new businesses relocate to Palm Beach County, coming from the Northeast, from the Midwest, from the West Coast. A lot of financial services firms are moving in here. They're bringing in their people, but they're also looking to hire local people, which then begs the question of education. And I have to say, I'm pleased last year we were able to reach an agreement that we would, Palm Beach County would, in partnership with the city of West Palm Beach and a private landowner, donate land so that we can have the University of Florida downtown campus in West Palm Beach. And that's going to be a graduate level program. And if you've looked at any of the offerings, they're very forward thinking. They have to do with artificial intelligence. One of my own favorites has to do with coastal management. So training the next generation of employees in not only Palm Beach County, but all of South Florida, I think it's going to make a big difference, not just for Palm Beach County and West Palm Beach, but all of South Florida by having that campus here. And it sits right between the Bright Line and Tri-Rail. So allowing folks that work in Broward or work in South County or work down in Miami-Dade, if they're actually coming for in-person classes, giving them an alternative way to transport themselves there. One of the areas, though, that I'm personally involved in has to do with water supply, the environment, the Lake Worth Lagoon, and I know that that's very important to you all, and so let's spend a few minutes talking about that. We have made an investment, and I need to say, first off, kudos to you all for the investment that you've made in trying to acquire lands, submerged lands, and protect our Lake Worth Lagoon. But it is something, it has, over the years previous, it was, I think, a bit neglected, but we realized the importance of the health of the lagoon and the need to make the investments to clean up some of the past mistakes that were made in how we managed this area. It's a very important area, as well as, it serves a commercial purpose, but it also serves an important purpose for environmental in Palm Beach County, as well as it provides a place to entertain ourselves, whether it's on our boats, on our canoes, kayaks. It's a beautiful water area for us. But the county undertook, and I have to say kudos to previous boards, they had the vision to say, we need to do more. We have some areas of the lagoon that are very deficient, and how can we both economically afford to restore them and also bring them back to some of the previous conditions that had existed prior to some of the changes that we made in the environment. To that end, we're undertaking a continuation of what we're calling the chain of green, if you will. And these are these little islands that you may have seen popping up in the lagoon that they're actually built on areas where there were sinkholes, if you will, where they had dredged previously for materials to build roadways or whatever else was going on the land. They took that material out. Well, once it got so deep, it got so dark down there that grasses don't grow, so plants don't live down there, animals can't live down there, and they basically became dead zones, and there's virtually no oxygen. working together with many partners, we've been able to start to build these islands. And as they come up, what we're seeing is not only are they're serving a purpose of providing habitat, but habitat that we would have never imagined coming back to the lagoon has emerged. So birds are now nesting on these islands. Oyster catchers that had not been seen this far south are now nesting on these islands that we're making. And we're doing it in a way that is understanding the importance of our taxpayer dollars and the resources we have. So, for example, when they were dredging for the town of Palm Beach's new docks, we took that material and we moved it over and we used that to fill in some of these sinkholes and build the islands. So instead of having to pay for the material, we got it for free. It did mean, because of their schedule, we had to run 24/7, which they were my constituents over in El Cid that initially got the construction going on in their area. But once we ironed out a little bit of communication issues, the islands have emerged, and I can tell you to a T, everybody's been very pleased. And for the first time, we're seeing the water clarity, because in addition to planting plants on the islands, we put seagrass in around them, but we also are planting oysters, and those oysters are helping to help clarify that water. So I've had comments, people have seen the bottom of the lagoon in areas up in West Palm Beach in years. And for this first year, they said we're able to see them again. So that's something we're going to continue to work on, and you'll continue to see investments being made on behalf of everybody in Palm Beach County to try and help restore the lagoon. But what also is important is what is coming into the lagoon, and how do we limit the amount of pollutants and so forth that get into the lagoon. So the watershed and working to help clean up the materials that are coming out of our watershed into the lagoon is a priority as well. And working together with Army Corps and our folks over at South Florida Water Management District, we've seen very few discharges coming from Lake Okeechobee into the lagoon both this last year and in the year before. And I'll tell you, for the first time, and this goes back about now 3 years ago, we are doing real-time monitoring of the water quality in the lagoon. And that's in partnership with South Florida Water Management. So I guess in talking about this, it's really about partnerships. It's about working together. It's about prioritizing our priorities in our community, but working together in whether it's working with our municipalities to help support the things that you're doing, or working with our various agencies, whether they be state or federal, but it's all working together. I was asked specifically to talk about septic to sewer and opportunities that might be available. We are seeing record amount of money being distributed by the Department of Environmental Protection's DEP from the state through a grant program. Now that window for this year is already closed, but it will open up again for projects. And this is a great opportunity, though, really, if you think about it, for you all to look at the projects that were approved and how much money they were able to obtain, so that you can write your own grants for your own projects and based on how other people have been successful. So that would be one thing I would encourage you all to do. And I know we sent links to the mayor today to talk about how you can go after some of those funds. Later this year, in the springtime, the Lake Worth Lagoon Initiative, we sponsor a number of funding requests that go to Tallahassee. And we'll be going up Palm Beach County Day in March. We'll be putting forward our list this year, but we'll be reviewing projects, or they will be reviewing projects for next year. And so it's another opportunity to look at local projects for yourselves that we might be able to partner with you all on to help try and obtain additional funding to produce them. And when we go to Tallahassee, we don't go there with an empty hand. We always go there knowing that we are going to fund at least 50% of what we're asking them to contribute. So we want to make sure they know that we have skin in the game when we go ask for resources from our state partners. So those opportunities are going to be coming available as well. I talked to our water folks over in Water Utilities Department, and I believe you're under Boynton Beach. You get your service, your water service provider. But that's also another area to potentially partner with, is to speak with them. There is funding available, both federal and state funding that comes to the water utilities that may be of benefit to you all. So make sure that we don't miss the opportunity to speak to Boynton Beach Water Utilities on that. Overall, I mean, we are seeing growth in this county. I mean, it's season now, so it's hard to tell what's growth, what's season, but we are continuing to see growth, which, you know, for some people it's a good thing. For some people, they like it the way it was, and you know, it's trying to manage all of that. But I think, you know, together we're all working hard to try and make sure that you know, we have a good balance here. And I know our board looks at it that way, and I'm sure you all do as well for your own community. I think the last point I want to make before I'd be happy to take some questions from you is that, you know, probably one of the most important things we always remind other folks of is home rule, which meaning you all set the policies for your communities. You're closest to your constituents, although we represent your constituents as well on our board, in making sure that we support your opportunity to put in place the policies that are best for your own community. And we do the same, and we hope that our friends up in Tallahassee understand that as well. But it's something I know as the League of Cities and the Florida Association of Counties that we always go up there and help remind them. And I hope you'll be able to join us in March when we go up for Palm Beach County Day, because I will tell you that is unique, that we come up united, not only as local governments, but as the business community, as our school district and school board. So when we go up and speak to our friends up in Tallahassee, they see Palm Beach County speaking to them with one voice, one agenda that we've all agreed on in advance that we want to promote. Obviously, people have things off the agenda, but we have at least one agenda that we can all agree on. So I hope you'll be able to join us. And you know, I'm delighted to be here with you. You have my first time being in your facility. It's beautiful. I mean, I always knew Ocean Ridge was beautiful, but you have a beautiful town hall, and delighted to be with you, and happy to take any questions.
I would like to ask regarding the funding that we've been talking about. I know there's money to be had out there. I've been listening in on these Zoom calls, League of Cities, what have you. The issue with us is having a small staff is prepping the grant writing. We have a grant writer, but he takes it like from the 50-yard line over. We need a little bit of help in preparing some of these. Does the county offer any sort? I know League of Cities has a little program where they can give us a little direction. Does the county offer anything?
So we don't have a formal program that we offer, but what I would encourage you to do, and something that we encourage our staff to do, would be willing to work with your staff. So if there's particular, let's say, for example, you know, I know our folks over at Environmental Resource Management, they make themselves readily available to help, especially on some of the technical issues, or our folks over in our resilience office.
Right.
You know, and we talk of, and let's talk about that for a second. And I should have mentioned that earlier. Sea level rise, you know, and you guys are as close to it as you can get. The islands, they do play a role in helping, at least on helping with the water movement within the lagoon. But on the other side of the barrier island, there's not much that can be done in terms of anything physical that can help with sea level rise. But it is happening. I mean, I do attend the Southeast Florida Climate Compact, and they just had a summit a few weeks ago. And we are all working together. I think our biggest concern here, we're blessed with some topographical benefits that our neighbors in South don't have. Our average elevation in Palm Beach County is 14 feet above sea level. I think Miami-Dade is like 2. So their window is a lot shorter than ours in being able to make changes and deal with it. But one of our concerns, of course, is going to be migration due to sea level rise. So that our neighbors to the south, places that used to be able to be habited, may no longer be habited in the not too distant future. We're not talking about centuries. We're now talking in probably a couple of decades that we're going to see real impacts from this. We're seeing it happen today with in Broward. They're having difficulty with their stormwater. They have places when you get high tide, their stormwater system doesn't work, and if you get a big rain, they are going to need additional pumps to be able to pump that water over and get it out of their system. So, we do have challenges, but it is something we are going to all work together on, and because we are in this same boat. So,
Thank you.
all right.
Any other questions for Mayor Weiss?
Hi,
Hi, how are you?
very well. Did I understand this correct with the grants? So there's technically 2 different kinds of grants. One would be the grants that the city would apply for like a septic and sewer conversion. And the other one would be one that would be granted to the water utilities, which we could then contract with and basically get through the back door.
So there's different funding sources available to different entities. So there's money that's available to water utilities, and then there's direct state money that is available through the Department of Environmental Protection directly to the municipality. And I know septic to sewer is a big issue, but there may be others. There may be stormwater management that you're all needing to deal with. I know I live in West Palm Beach, and so they're having to install the duct valves in the roadways so that the water, when it can't come up and flood the roads, because we have sunny day flooding up there now. But yeah, there will be multiple sources, something we can certainly keep you plugged in, and I will ask my staff to keep you informed as these grant programs that we're made aware of.
Thank you.
I just have one quick question.
Yes, sir.
Do we have any loose ends on the submerged land that we've purchased with the county? So we're trying to hold hands on that deal. As long as we have, we are
Yes.
held hostage.
Our former town manager, Tracy Stevens, and I met with Matt Mitchell. And so I'm dealing with Matt Mitchell on that, and we're having an ongoing conversation about
So no snags.
that. Those names.
Thanks.
No snags, but any money?
No snags.
We were at one point looking to see if the county would have some funds available to help us with the mangrove purchases that we did, so I'll just say
While we're holding you hostage.
That's all right.
Back
We'll,
away.
let's see, let me follow up on that. I'd be happy to, and we'll send it back through the mayor.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anything else? Thank you so much for coming, Mayor. Really appreciate your time and efforts and staying in touch.
Oh, my
Very
pleasure.
beneficial.
If there's anything you all need, please feel free to reach out. It's all about a partnership. It's about relationships, and it's about making this, which I believe Palm Beach County, the best place to live, work, and play. So we live in paradise. We're blessed. Thank you.
Thank you so much. All right, next on our presentation, we'd like to welcome Mr. Matt Tite. Did I say it correctly? Matt Tite, who's going to give us an introduction to the Florida Class Investment Pool.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, Commissioners, for allowing me the opportunity. Glenn, thank you for allowing me the opportunity to present tonight. I understand a presentation was included in the packet. So I thought I'd start with a brief overview of the fund and then take any questions that you may have. So Florida Class is a independent local government investment pool authorized under Florida state statute strictly for Florida local governments to help in their cash management and in short-term investment needs. It is a AAA rated fund by Standard & Poor's, which is the highest rating that you can achieve as a local government investment pool here in the state. And it's managed by a board of trustees. I technically work for Public Trust Advisors. We're the investment manager and administrator on the fund, but we report to the board of trustees shown there on the screen. And they basically manage and operate and make decisions with respect to investment philosophy, investment strategy. They obviously look to us for strategy recommendations. But at the end of the day, we do report to the board, so it is truly an independent fund. It's very similar to a checking account. It offers same-day liquidity. You put a dollar in, and the fund is managed to get that dollar back. You'll see, as far as the rating is concerned, it's AAA M by Standard & Poor's. That M designates a stable net asset value. So the dollar, the value of the dollar is always worth a dollar. And again, it provides daily liquidity. Florida Class is the only fund in the state that offers interest paid daily. So it accrues daily and it pays back into your account daily. So over time, that's additional interest income that you wouldn't find at a bank, checking account, or money market fund here in the state. Right now, the daily yield on the fund is 4.55%. Obviously, with interest rates continually on the rise and no plan of that stopping anytime soon, Florida Class's yield will rise with the Fed funds rate. So every time the Fed meets and raises interest rates, that only benefits the Florida Class program. There are no minimums to join. You could have multiple sub-accounts. And really, at the end of the day, it's an extremely convenient way to maximize interest income while maintaining liquidity in an extremely safe fund. So that was kind of a lot. With that, I'll pause and maybe take any questions that you all may have.
How long has the fund been around?
Good question. It was launched in 2015. In fact, Palm Beach County was one of the initial signers on the interlocal agreement that formed the trust. Palm Beach County is still a participant. You have several entities in and around the area that invest in the fund. Right now, we're a little over 6.3 billion in assets under management, with roughly 130, 140 local governments that invest, Florida local governments that invest.
All in Florida?
All in Florida. You have to be Florida local government to invest in.
I two questions. Do you have to remember what your interest rate was in 2021?
Close to zero.
Close to zero. Okay.
Yeah, so I would say on average in 2021, before the Fed started raising interest rates quite dramatically, it was anywhere between 10 to 15 basis points.
Gotcha.
And these fees that are quoted are net of fee. I will say that Public Trust Advisors has the ability to charge the board up to 15 basis points for the management and administration of the fund. On average, we've historically charged right around 8. We have the ability to make that business decision on a daily basis. We could charge full fee or we could waive fee. In environments like 2021, in order to remain competitive, we waived a considerable amount of fee. But I mentioned that because any rate that you see posted is net of fee.
Gotcha. So when you say 8, you mean 0.08?
Correct, 8
Okay.
basis points.
So it's not 8%, right?
Correct.
And other towns on our stretch that use you?
Yeah, Lake Worth, Delray, Boca, Riviera Beach, county. Yes, you head into Fort Lauderdale, the city of Fort Lauderdale. I actually wrote down, I have a representation list that I can share with you as well. City of West Palm, Wellington, those are just a few kind of in this area.
And when you come in, do you take over the entire business, or can the municipality decide, okay, we'll move half of ours here, or does that screw up the math for you?
No, there's no minimums to join. So you can invest $1, you can invest $100 million, whatever the case may be. It's really really up to the entity, whatever fits their needs.
Okay, thank you.
The, how do you make money? How do you invest?
The plan away.
The fee that we charge the board for the management administration is how ultimately public trust makes money, managing the fund. We assume all costs as far as insurance, legal costs, the audit, really anything affiliated with the fund, we assume out of that fee. But that's how Public Trust Advisors makes the money off of managing.
And is there a way for us as a municipality to borrow money from you?
Unfortunately not.
So you're just strictly pure investment?
Correct. Yeah, I mean, much like a money market fund, we adhere not only to Florida state statute, but S&P's guidelines for that AAA rating. So the portfolio is sent to S&P on a weekly basis in order to maintain that AAA rating. So it is strictly a liquidity vehicle, very similar to a checking account.
Thank you.
I just had one other thing I should ask. In my staff meeting, you guys also provide a advisor to the town exclusive of these services?
So we are technically an investment manager. So we engage in not only managing a local government investment pool like Florida Class, but City of West Palm Beach is a good example. They have, $100 million in excess reserve that they gave to us to manage for them. And we provide advice on what we feel is the best approach considering the environment. With respect to the loan issue that you all have with Bank of America and LIBOR rolling off, we don't necessarily dabble in the financial advisory business in that regard with respect to debt and issuing debt. We don't issue debt, but we have professionals in-house that have that experience that can opine on any recommendation, considering, what Bank of America comes back with. I know they gave you some options as far as recommendations, but with respect to what they're charging with current interest rates that you're looking to refinance into, we could look at those, run an analysis for you, and we can provide that free of charge.
Thanks.
Lynn, anything?
No, I brought Matt in so that, as you can see, right now our reserve funds are invested in money market. It's making 1%. Obviously, this makes significantly more, and that 1% has been increasing as the Fed rates have gone up. But wanted to do this. We've got the library that we need, obviously, assistance with their ability to, look at what we're looking at and give us advice of who to go to for, based on what Bank of America is telling us, whether, so for, like I said, from a legal standing, they understand whether, variable rate interests for a municipality are truly the best bet or even legal for a municipality to invest in, which I am not certain. I've never seen a municipality invest in a variable rate debt service before. So I'm concerned that we get into that, especially with interest rates being what they are and continuing to change as much as they are. I'm concerned that we invest in what Bank of America is suggesting we move into, because again, what they're recommending is a variable rate instrument again.
All right, we have any other comments? Thank you very much for
You're
your
welcome.
time. Appreciate it.
If you need any additional
Informative.
information, always happy to thank you for the
Thank
time.
you so much.
Appreciate it.
All right, Town Clerk Avery, would you please read the announcements?
The meeting schedule for the next month is as follows. The regular town commission meeting Monday, February 6th at 6 p.m. The joint workshop meeting of the town commission and planning and zoning commission on Wednesday, January 11th at 3 p.m. For the planning and zoning commission at town hall. Please join us on Monday, February 6th at 5 p.m. in the commission chambers for a presentation of our building official. The topic is Save the Swales. Town hall will be closed on Monday, January 16th to observe Martin Luther King holiday. The annual municipal election will be held on March 14th, 2023. There are 2 town commission seats open for a 3-year term. The qualified candidates appearing on the ballot are Carolyn Cassidy, Susan Herbert, and Martin Bichelek. Residents who wish to sign up to receive important town notifications and news through Civic Ready should sign up on the town's website or call Town Hall for assistance. The League of Women Voters will be holding a town commissioner candidates forum on Thursday, February 9th, 2023, from 6 to 8 p.m. at Town Hall. Residents. Sure. The League of Women Voters will be holding a town commissioner candidates forum on Thursday, February 9th, 2023, from 6 to 8 p.m. at Town Hall. Residents are invited to the forum and will have the opportunity to submit questions to the moderator, and more details will be coming.
Thank you.
So Kelly, you only announced 3 people that qualified. Is that correct?
That is correct. We did have one withdraw.
Thank you.
Answer my question as well. All right, I'm going to open the floor for public comment, but Kelly, would you, because I think we have a good crowd here tonight, would you read our short version of what our protocol is, please, so people know what to expect?
Each person addressing the commission shall step up to the podium and state his or her name and address in an audible tone of voice for the record. All public comments must be addressed to the commission as a body and not to individuals. Personal verbal attacks upon commissioners, staff, and/or members of the public will not be tolerated. Any person making impertinent, obscene, personally insulting, defamatory, or slanderous remarks, or who become disruptive while addressing the commission, shall be barred by the presiding officer from speaking further, unless permission to continue or again address the commission granted by majority vote.
Thank you. I also would like to remind everybody that it's not a dialogue, not a dialogue, it's public comment, but we're always available, staff, every single person up here on the dais, for us, anybody to have a one-on-one with. You can contact us through the town website.
Can I make a comment? We have the ability to suspend the rule, which means there can be discussion with the commissioners, and I think we should poll the commission and see if this evening we should suspend the rule.
You got to vote on it.
Yeah.
Funny how that works. So you are asking,
Suspend the rules that Kelly just read to us, including there can be no
All the rules?
questions. Well, if you want, I'll enumerate them. There can be no questions asked of individual commissioners. There can be no answers provided, and there can be no discussion.
all right, so we'll poll on that one.
Yes, I agree with that. Extend the meeting.
No,
And let's hold the applause.
I think we would be here all night, so I am not in favor of that.
Okay, I will ask also that people be respectful out there, so if you want to be heard, you have to listen to us as well, and the people around you can't hear. No, yes, I say no, I like the way we're going. We know your yes. Martin?
No.
All right, so we've got 3-2, and we will stick with our rules. Okay, so public comment for any item not listed on the agenda. Mr. Brown, come on up.
Someone's gonna try to beat me up here, I know. And I didn't fill out a green card because it's on file somewhere. My name is Terry Brown, I live at Harbor Drive South. I did want to comment and give kudos to whoever was responsible. I know that Mr. Guy was involved with the change in the landscape at number 10 Harbor Drive South. So much better. Shade trees, native shade trees. And that, I know that Martin was also concerned, and so was Susan, but that made a big difference. And it's going to make a big difference to the people who live in that neighborhood. And also, when you drive in and look at the structure, it's a beautiful structure now. It has shade trees. So congratulations for doing that. I appreciate it. The other thing I wish we would still have, and I might mention this at every meeting, we need a garbage can at the foot of the stairs at the Porter Street crossover. I'll pay for it. A plastic garbage can with plastic bags. You have someone that goes down, up and down the street and empties the garbage, the landscape service. All he's got to do is go down and empty that. And it can be secured to the post that's there. And it's something that we need to do because people have to bring their debris up and take it out to the street. So it would be something that would be worthwhile, I think.
You
And
mean at the
environmental.
beach? You mean at the east end of the Porter Street?
Yeah, well, down on the beach, there's steps that go to the beach. There used to be a garbage can there for years. And during the renovation, it disappeared, or maybe someone stole it. I don't know. But you can get an inexpensive one, and we'll kick it in. We'll kick in some bucks for you if you need it.
Thank you.
My name is Debbie Cook, and I came to the last meeting. I spoke against the sign. I brought all kinds of legal papers. I brought pictures, how the property lines had been changed. And then I went back and I listened to the town meeting at the end where you guys spoke. And I was really felt there was promising opportunity that the signs would be removed. That some of you were appalled that the signs were that far down the beach. And I thought, wow, we have a chance to get them off. And I even heard our town attorney say, some people actually like the signs. I want you to know I have met no one that likes the signs unless they're residents of Turtle Beach. I want the signs banned. I hope our town will come together for the residents of Ocean Ridge and make the beaches for everyone, not just the residents of Turtle Beach. This is not the town of Turtle Beach, it is the town of Ocean Ridge. I'd like the signs removed. Thank you.
We're going to try and hold that applause, otherwise we'll be here all night long back and forth, please. Ms. Gall?
Hi, Stella Cole. Happy New Year, everyone. My comment is about public comment. We just said that we were not going to answer any questions. I asked a question last month, I should say, to be nice. And nobody ever got back to me about the dunes, the deterioration of the dunes. Now, I've been coming to meetings for 22 years. The past 3 years, I apologize. This rule came up that the commissioners couldn't talk to the residents. I mean, I kind of think that's disrespectful to the residents. I ask a question, why can't you just answer it? If it's a small one, if it's something that entails, a big conversation, say, Mrs. Cole, please see Martin tomorrow. Sorry, I'm not supposed to mention you.
Tomorrow.
And, I just don't think it's nice. I don't know, we're a friendly town. This is not friendly. And I still would like to know what is the issue with the dunes. Thank you.
Please.
Hi. I'm Kate Newton. I live at 5500 Old Ocean. I'm an attorney licensed in Florida, New York, and Ohio. And I'm here to talk about the signs. There are two doctrines here. There's customary use and there's public trust. The public trust doctrine is guaranteed by the Florida State Constitution, and it is the area below the mean high water line, closer to the beach, and of course everyone has access. Customary use, on the other hand, gives you access to the public trust through private property, the dry sand portion of the beach, as long as the use has been ancient, reasonable, without interruption, and free from dispute. This is a common law right described in the Florida Supreme Court case, City of Daytona versus Tony Rama, and also in North Shore Holdings and Levin Family Development versus Walton County in the First Circuit Court just last year. In that case, private homeowners claimed that the customary use doctrine was unconstitutional, taking of property without just compensation or due process of law. The court ruled against them. A constitutional argument is probably the one of the most powerful arguments you can make, and this one failed. So this is settled law. If a challenge to customary use is going to fail, then a fortiori, a challenge to public trust will also fail. What's going on here is an assertion of property rights in an area that very few people have ever asserted, which is the area below the mean high water line, the public trust area. And there is a concern by some community members of people behaving badly on the beach, as well as a more speculative concern of an upcoming influx of people coming from over the bridge. As a solution, these signs have been put up in that area, and they are stating a falsehood. One sign faces north, and it says, "Private beach, no trespassing, please, owned and maintained by Turtle Beach." And many yards north of that, there's another sign facing south, and that one just says, "Private beach, no trespassing." Each sign has one arrow pointing toward the ocean, one arrow pointing toward the dunes, giving the impression that the entire square of land between the signs is private property. They suggest that a person who is in between those signs is breaking the law, committing a crime. This is false. This is an attempt to claim a false legal right in order to remedy a perceived concern. It's using a pretext of a vague assertion of bad behavior along with an unspecified concern about possible future beach crowding to justify the placement of these illegal signs.
Ma'am, your 3 minutes are up. I'll give you another minute.
Can I wrap it up?
Yes, please.
On a personal note, I'm a surfer and I was once injured at that beach by things in the water that didn't belong there. They were not naturally there. They were placed there by homeowners. So the hazards that people have talked about the danger is real. And I'll leave you with that. Thank you very much.
Great. My goodness gracious. Phil, Mr. Bessie, come on now.
Phil Bessler, 5906 Old Ocean Boulevard. Happy New Year, guys.
Happy New Year.
But I have another complaint, so. What's new? All right, I was at that November meeting, you probably forgot, it was a minor issue, but 2 clubs were recommended to get free rental of these facilities. I had talked up about it, and then December, the president of one of the clubs said that I wasn't telling the truth on 3 of the 7 issues I had brought up. And it was just concerns I had for the town. The first one said that they never requested it and they don't want it. So they don't want free rent and they never requested it. So I'll stand corrected because I didn't know that. I thought anything that gets on these kind of agendas, you got to ask for it, especially if it's free. But somehow it got on that agenda. The second issue that came up was they talked about all the expenses they paid in the past and how it met your regulations of no free rent, basically. If you looked at what I said, I never said the past. I was talking about the future of that them getting free rent. So they're misguided on that one. The third one was they said that they pay insurance. Well, I never said they didn't pay insurance. The only time I brought up the insurance was I asked, does the town have enough insurance if something goes wrong? So I just wanted to clarify that. But in summary, the president of that club and I are on the same page. They don't want it. They're a proud 501c3 charity organization. They give to the town. They listed in the beginning of their letter all the issues they did for the town over the 50 years. My wife was involved in that. My 2 daughters helped them out on some of the issues they even listed on that. So we agree with that. So we're all on the same page. Now, what I would ask the commission, and I think you've done it already in this presentation, you had brought it up again, well, I shouldn't direct it to you, but the commission brought it up again, that you shouldn't say disparaging things about people, and you shouldn't put their names on. And in that letter that was espoused during the meeting, my name was mentioned, and I was not telling the truth. If you notice how I presented it, I didn't mention the president's name, I don't mention the club, and I don't say they didn't tell the truth. I said they misread what I said. And that's basically what it was. It wasn't me not telling the truth, but what I read into what you guys were doing was somebody had to ask for it. And I assume the clubs that were getting it asked for it, so I appreciate what you said. We should say that in the December meeting, but hope it never happens again. Thank you.
Thank
Hello.
Hello.
Good evening. My name is James Conley, and my wife and I own and reside at 12 Hersey Drive. We've lived there for almost 14 years. We've deeded beach access with our property. We own a unit also in Briny Breezes, and we've lived in the community for about 25 years. At the last town meeting in December, I stood here and asked that the no trespassing signs posted by the Turtle Beach Condo Association be removed from our beach. And as of today, the signs are still there. Over the years, I've seen a deluge of people moving here to claim a piece of our beachy paradise. I've also recently witnessed a deluge of no trespassing signs springing up on our beaches. In my opinion, these signs have reached a crescendo, making our beach paradise begin to look like a parking. I don't want our beach to be littered with no trespassing signs. It makes the beach an undesirable place to relax and have fun. Plus, I think real estate values will decrease if we continue to pollute our beaches with no trespassing signs. The no trespassing signs posted by the Turtle Beach Condo Association do not belong on the beach. They especially do not belong below the high water mark. I ask that these signs be removed. An article published in the latest issue of the Coastal Star titled Beach Access Debate, Do Signs Like This Violate the Law? In the article, Mark Feinstein, Turtle Beach Condo Board President and resident since 2016, claims that his condo association has had a number of problems with beachgoers causing problems or being obnoxious with residents. I go to the beach around 2 to 4 times a week, and I've rarely come across problems with beachgoers. The beach, in fact, is occupied by very few people. We're told by Turtle Beach that the signs cost $300 each and have been removed by beachgoers. There is no evidence of this. There is, however, evidence that the signs below the high water mark have been washed away by the waves, posing a danger to marine life and swimmers like myself. I understand the fear that some people have with the increase of people moving close to our shores, and the duress some may experience of losing our magical piece of beach paradise. I share those concerns, but we can't let fear dictate our policy. Signs placed on Ocean Ridge Beach communicate to residents of Ocean Ridge, stop and return back, and turn back. This is wrong and needs to be curtailed by our commissioners. Ocean Ridge is our town. The appeal for living here is our beach. Let us be neighborly. Let us recognize that living in our neighborhood means having access to our beautiful beach, unblemished with no trespassing signs. Thank you.
Amen. Mr. Carey?
Good evening, Commission. Rick Carey, 39 Spanish River Drive. My topic tonight is street lighting. I recall sometime around a year ago, maybe last spring, a representative of FPL coming in and indicating that our street lights were going to be changed to LED lights. And, that kind of went out of my mind till before dawn yesterday. I was in the south part of town and saw the new Crown Colony crosswalk and its LED lighting, which is really nice for a crosswalk, but I sure hope it's not coming to our streets and our neighborhoods. So speaking as a person that likes to get out and walk my dog and enjoy my neighborhood, I don't want it to feel like a Publix parking lot with LED lighting that's so bright you could read the morning paper. So, thank you.
Happy New Year, Zoe Hennigan, 91 Island Drive South. I really hate to complain, but I've got to voice a concern I have in my neighborhood that many of my neighbors have expressed, and that is the blight on 113 Island Drive South. December 7th, which is now a month ago, pictures were sent to our interim town manager showing the mess at this job site. And our neighbors have been complaining about the blight on this, from this site, and the dust and dirt that is coming to their cars. Now it's a month later and the eyesore still exists. So I would just hope that staff can do something more than just talk. It really needs to be fixed. And additionally, and this is a lesser problem, on 95 Island Drive South, which is in the cul-de-sac. They do have a fence, but they do not have the green covering that is supposed to be there by our ordinances. And that really needs to be looked at. Today, there were over a dozen cars right there, and I definitely did not want to complain because I'd love to get that construction completed. But at least the key ordinances really should be met. So I appreciate taking a look at that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Michael Lieberman, live at 6070 North Ocean. We actually, my wife and I, are doing a construction project, and we received the permit back actually on 12/22 and started construction on 1/3. So I made a request to the town, specifically to Lynn, about having a storage container on site, also known as like a pod. And I was told that it can only be granted for 2 weeks. So I received permission from January 10th to January 24th to have this pod. But as you know, with construction, 2 weeks is enough time to really do anything. The construction time for my job is from January to June. Maybe it might be done in May, but on the safe side, say June. So I'm trying to see if I can, I was told I would need to do a presentation in front of all you to be able to have an extension, if I can get one to accommodate me for that length of time. There's really no other options. The work that we're doing is trying to reconfigure my home, which is a home built in 1970s. And we're adding space and converting space and a whole bunch of different things. It's not going to be used for anything other than personal property. So it's going to be basically brought in, if I can do it, closer to my house, on the driveway, next to the tree line. It's not going to be really that visible from the street, but obviously it will be visible. The minute that we get the final approval from Durrani, then I'll have it removed. But 2 weeks is not adequate time to do the job I'm doing. So I guess that's it. I don't know, is there a period of time that I can know of when, if I can get approval for this?
We can discuss it later when we have the building officials presentation.
Okay.
That's when we can go into that a little bit.
Okay, all right, great. Thanks for your time.
Thank you, Michael.
Any other, Mr. Scheibel?
John Scheibel, 6201 North Ocean Boulevard, Ocean Ridge. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
And thank you all for your time and efforts in the community, which is great. I've been here before, and we've had discussions on 6273 North Ocean. And for those in the audience, that's the Pyramid House that's under construction. I own the house adjacent to it. I just have a couple comments. Last May, we went through a whole process on whether this permit should be kept revoked or renewed or whatever. And there was an agreement, a developer's agreement crafted by the borough attorney that gave them the ability to continue as long as it's done in 1 year. And in that, it also had several different items in which new plans would have to be submitted to the town. with changes that they intend to make. Specifically having to do with the front and some other items. Frankly, it's been 7 months since that. I flew down here December 8th or December 9th and had a prearranged meeting with Durante, and there was no new plans submitted. The engineers were working on it. I saw Durante this morning and the same comment. The engineers are working on it. This is not a negative on him at all. I think it's a legal issue. And I think that it has to be addressed because if this goes on and on, it's just a continuation of what we had before. In 2019, which is what the permits he's building on now, okay, had 7 variances that never came before the board. That's passed. We don't know what these new plans are, and I think we need to have them and be able to review them on a timely basis, and I think 7 months is long enough. I appreciate your comments. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chavez.
Hello, Brian Job, 11 Tropical.
What was your name? I'm sorry.
If you're coming, what's that?
Your name?
Brian Job. I'm sorry. If you're coming over the top, but I'm also here to express my distaste for the signs at Turtle Beach. I am raising a family on Tropical Drive. We just had our second daughter on Christmas Day. The beach is big. Yeah, tell me where the heart's going for me. Yeah. We walk down as a family to the beach every single day. I look at 7 signs in my view to the ocean every single day. I mean, depending which way I look. That nice lady there described some of the literature on the signs. She forgot the best one now, which is facing directly at you as you approach the beach and has an arrow to the north and an arrow to the south with no end. And it says, no trespassing, private beach. So I think we need to make some calls up and down the East Coast, let everyone know to please refrain, because I don't know where that starts or ends. I've seen you do some things that I deem in alignment with what this town, how I perceive this town when I bought property here. I saw you purchase that land for $1.5 million in order to keep developers away and preserve an ecosystem that you thought was valuable and in the spirit of things. I've seen you decline energy efficient lights because the brightness of the bulb detracted from the ambiance of what is Ocean Ridge. I cannot think of anything that detracts from the ambiance of what is Ocean Ridge more than a sign on the beach. I think you've backed into a problem. The beach that we enjoy is the most precious thing that we have. And I don't think that signs should have been placed there without a more broad and open discussion. I don't know how these things work, but I feel like if there are going to be signs on the beach that everyone's intending on enjoying, we should all have a voice as to where and how those signs are placed. So that's all I have to say. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Hi, everyone. My name is Craig Shepner, 5103 North Ocean Boulevard in Turtle Beach. So I was asked to speak with you all this evening. Mark Feinstein, unfortunately, our HOA president, was unable to attend, so he asked if I would read this into the record for you. There's some misinformation and rumor regarding the legal private beach signs which our development put in a couple of years ago. Our beach is private, and in the last few years, our residents were dealing with problematic beachgoers. There were drunken, aggressive people who took to setting up directly on our beach and making problems for our residents. As a result, we went through the proper legal process requested by the town of Ocean Ridge to place said signs. We obtained approvals from the Turtle people, the Department of Environmental Protection, and proper permitting from the town, which was deemed necessary to have the signs placed. We followed the rules given to us. Since the signs have been placed, there's been a marked improvement in the decrease of people trespassing. Not perfect, but significantly improved. Between those individuals who provide misinformation to anyone who will listen and the imminent completion of a 314-unit apartment building that is advertising walk to the beach, our beach signs are not a luxury, but rather a necessity. We own the beach for over 40 years. We maintain the beach, we pay taxes for beachfront property, and are entitled to the private enjoyment of our beach. I'm sure that places like the Ocean Club or Briny would not be happy with the dozens of people bringing tents, coolers, dogs, and setting up on their private beach. This is just one of the many reasons why our beach signs are necessary. Thank you.
All right, sir, back there.
My name is Christopher Curry. I live on Tropical Drive, and my subject is also going to be these signs on the beach. This is January 2023. This is the 50th anniversary of when I first moved to the address at which I currently live. I have been living there for 50 years. My wife has actually been there 3 years longer than me, all right? During the course of this 50 years, we had 2 children. The oldest of whom is now 39 years old, and the youngest is now 35 years old. Both of these children played upon, made sandcastles, swam, played in the sand, without any interruption or conflict or problem whatsoever for their entire childhood, their entire adolescence. Now, I would like to give you a little bit of what somebody just said was disinformation, okay? This is actually a quote from Chief Justice James C. Adkins in his 1974 Florida Supreme Court majority ruling in the matter of City of Daytona Beach versus Tonorama, which has already been mentioned earlier. And I quote, "If the recreational use of the sandy area adjacent to mean high tide has been ancient, reasonable, without interruption, and free from dispute, such use as a matter of custom should not be interfered with by the owner. However, the owner may make any use of his property which is consistent with such public use and not calculated to interfere with the exercise of the right of the public to enjoy the dry sand area as a recreational adjunct of the wet sand or foreshore area," which is the public trust doctrine mentioned by the attorney who addressed you earlier, right? What I have just read, I would like to ask a question, and I don't have to have the answer now, but I would really love for somebody to answer the question for me, okay? What is it about what I just read that you do not understand? I have to compliment Chief Justice Adkins for, on a subject as complex as this, being as succinct as he was, okay? I have really read a ruling of this import, okay, that was as plain and written in plain English and understandable by a 6th grader, okay?
Mr. Curry, we're out of time. Would you please?
I'm going to just take one more thing. This happens to be something from the previous attorneys for this town. They quote widely City of Daytona Beach versus Tonorama in this advice to this town back on February the 5th of 2014. But one of the many things that they quote is the following. And this is from Walton County case, another precedent case. Those referring the rights to the rights of the private landowners. But those rights cannot be exercised so as to injure others in their lawful rights, and private owners' rights to bathing, fishing, and navigation are not superior to that of the public.
Thank you very much.
What is it about this that you don't understand?
Thank you. All righty then. Do we have anybody else out there? Please, come on down.
Hello. Bill Scarlett, 5700 Old Ocean Boulevard. I have some questions to ask, but I don't expect your answers right now. But I do think it would behoove the commission to be aware of this situation and look into it. So my questions are, who owns the beach access at Adams Road? If it is government land, why does it have a locked gate and no trespassing signs? Is there a group called the 52 Association that claims exclusive rights to the Adams Road beach access? If this group exists, are they registered with the town? Who are its officers? Are they charging $300 for beach access? How can one find their financial accounting? Who, if anyone, pays property taxes on the Adams Road beach access? Who pays for property liability insurance? If no one pays property taxes on the Adams Road access, why is it privatized? A path was cut through the sea grapes from the Adams Road beach access parcel into the Capri's private beach property, which we have maintained since 1957, without question. Did the 52 Association cut this path? What permits did they have to cut the sea grapes? Did the applicant for the permit claim to live at 57 Old Ocean Boulevard when they live on a completely different street? With that, will that be investigated? Did you ask for ID from that person when they gave that application? How can the 52 Association expect to get a permit to rebuild stairs if they don't own the land? I would encourage you to look into that, and I thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Maya Bremen, the Ocean Ridge Yacht Club. Happy New Year, everybody.
Happy New Year.
And I guess you've heard me before, and I love this man, whoever you are, because my complaint is the same. Every single question he just asked is my question about Fayette, the Fayette gate that went up by the people who live on Fayette Road, who do not own that property or that entrance to the beach, that a number of us, especially in the Ocean Ridge Yacht Club, have been going and sitting on that deck. We have paid money to rebuild that deck. I've lived here for almost 35 years, and they do not own the entrance to that gate, and yet they put a metal gate up. They have keys, which got spread around. The keys didn't get, so we, like a number of us, I'd have to kill you if I told you where we got the keys. But the point being, now they have a pad with numbers, so you can get in with numbers. They do not own that. They do not pay taxes on that. It is not in their deed for exclusive, just right of way. And you've heard me say this a number of times. I'll just back up because that man is fabulous. Can I have your speech, please? Thank you. Thanks so much.
Thank you. Janet?
Sorry.
That's okay.
Janet Shines, 120 Dolphin. So two things have come up tonight that I just want to bring to the commission's attention. One, a very, very bright light. The second, a locked gate. The third is a homeowner who owns the house that the light is in front of, me, that we're supposed to be fixing up, but quite frankly, every estimate we get on it says, I don't know, this is worthless property now. The light is so bright, you can't get on your beach because there's a key that was not envisioned, and I can't get a key. And so we have people in town impacting my property value without ever consulting me or ever speaking with us about this. And so I don't understand how this can happen in this town. I've written and never received a response from our town manager. I have, asked for help and assistance, and I can't get it. So I hope that someone in town can certainly help me with that, because that seems to be an egregious use of my property. And if you think it was bad walking your dog to that gentleman, you should try to stand in that living room. No one would ever live in that home with that light there, and certainly with no beach access because the gate has been locked. And that brings me to my third point. I think we're fighting the wrong fight as a town. Yes, we are all concerned about people coming over the bridge. But if we're concerned about people coming over the bridge, we shouldn't be penalizing the residents of our town. We should be penalizing the residents coming over the bridge. Read the laws. The laws are about public access. The laws are not about public access to every Tom, Dick, and Harry who wants to park in the public parking lot, or the garage that's coming, or the 300 units. And we should be investigating how we lock them out, not how we lock our residents out, because that's unacceptable and that's not keeping our town spirit. Thank you.
Do we have any other public comment? Come on down.
Supposed to be quiet.
Exactly. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Ernest Magnolia, I live at 710 Northeast 7th Street, Boynton Beach. We bought the unit by the canal, by just a little bit north of Two Georges. So my reason for coming here is that Boynton Beach is my home. And one of the reasons that we bought was because we have an outstanding piece of property across the street that belongs to Boynton Beach that happens to be the Oceanfront Beach Club. And the reason I come here is because listening to everybody, some of the people who are, they keep mentioning coming over the bridge from west to east, when our problem is the people from Ocean Ridge coming over to Boynton Beach and causing problems. And
Everybody, please, show some respect.
Thank you, Mayor.
Whether we agree or not, show some respect.
Thank you, Mayor.
You? Okay. Please, please.
It is a public meeting.
All right, please. We can get through this if we will all show a little respect with each other.
Thank
Sir,
you, Mayor.
please.
And I lost 15 seconds because of him. I want it back. Okay?
She stopped.
What?
She stopped.
You're gonna give it back to me?
She stopped it. We're counting.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. So, when comments are made, they go, you don't live here. But you know what? The people in Ocean Ridge don't live in that beach, although a lot of them do, believe it or not. And a lot of the people from Ocean Ridge come over and are doing horrible things there. I'm talking about drinking alcohol on the beach, driving recklessly, smoking marijuana and crack, bringing prostitutes, not leaving at 9. You know what? Can you be quiet?
Okay, here's what we're going to have to do. If we cannot behave ourselves, we can take a recess and then we can rethink our position and come back, or we can try and show some respect.
Thank you.
Let's try one more time.
So, I find it interesting that people from Ocean Ridge keep coming up and talking about, the creatures coming east over the Ocean Bridge. But our position is, it's worse from the creatures coming west on the bridge. I mean, if you see what goes on in the yacht clubs from people from Ocean Ridge, half the time there's people drowning, drugs, overdoses, shootings, reckless driving, DUI.
Keep going.
And, okay, I appreciate it, Mayor. I know we're trying. I appreciate you trying to keep order. So the records are clear. What happens at the corner of Ocean and Ocean is frightening. People come to the park, they drink beer and whiskey in the open, they get in their cars, they drive 60 miles an hour down Ocean, they're hitting people on bikes, they're catching people in the crosswalk, they're causing accidents, there's bikers getting hit all the time on bicycle. The thing is, Ocean Ridge can't keep blaming everybody else for its own problems. I try and talk with the police department about reining in the Ocean Ridge people, and they say, oh, no, it's all you Boynton Beach people, you're the problem. Not really. Why don't we put up cameras and it'll all bear itself out. What goes on that beach that I'm from is a human disgrace, including parents drinking and letting their kids go in the water unattended. And I appreciate you,
Thank you.
Mayor, I really do.
Thank you. Do we have any other public comment?
I'm scared if you don't.
You're scared? Okay, then I will now close the floor to public comment. Where the heck are we?
Mayor, if I may.
Lord,
Obviously, the town is quite concerned about these signs on the beach, and we've kind of kicked the can down the road now for 2 meetings. May I suggest we have a consensus that at the next meeting, we bring it and we put it as an agenda item for discussion amongst the
I was going
commissioners?
to,
Because at this point, there's several items we could do. I mean, we could consider ordinances spanning signs east of the high water mark. We could do a couple things. So I would suggest that we do this as an agenda item, not at the end of a meeting when most people are gone, but we do it at the beginning of the meeting so we can at least have this discussion and at that point, make decisions on and guide the staff to make decisions on how we can
my
solve this
suggestion would
problem.
be, is that we put it at the commissioner comments at the end of this meeting to then discuss
No,
further. So we can
I
go.
disagree
I know
completely
you
because the end of the meeting is where everybody goes and that's where everything goes to die is the end of the meeting.
It's
So
about us
if this-
talking anyway. But we
No,
do
it's not
have.
about- No, that's not true, Mayor. I'm sorry, I
Commissioner
disagree
Pugh,
with you.
we have
Commissioner
a,
comment. No,
Commissioner
Mayor,
Pugh,
let me
we
finish. A
have an
commissioner
agenda
comment
here.
is a commissioner comment. That's what it is in the back of the meeting.
We
It's
have
not a
an agenda
discussion.
here.
Discussion is when we have an agenda items discussion that you can vote on that discussion at that time. You're not voting on a discussion
Christie.
during a commissioner comment. So all I'm asking is that we move it and we put it on the next meeting as a agenda item. That's all I'm asking.
Christie, can you give me a little direction here on stopping the meeting to have this discussion right now? Should we discuss it towards commissioner comment? What do you think would be the smartest way?
Well, from our agenda, the next thing on our agenda is consent. If we want to add it to the next agenda, any commissioner can add a discussion to the next agenda, or of course, under commissioner comments, it could be discussed about having a discussion on the next agenda.
But we
either
just
way.
had it, so can we just make a consensus?
But either way, right? Okay, you could go with either way. And could we please stop with the applause?
No, the idea was not to go either way. The idea was to make it a.
No, I
regular
just said
agenda item.
the choice was either way, but I didn't say that's the way we have to go. So what Christie is saying is that we could do commissioner comment, but you've already just made your suggestion for putting it on the agenda for next, correct?
Next month.
meeting. Right, for the next meeting, discussion.
As an agenda
direction
item,
to
yes. I
the-
just have a consensus that we could do that. That's all I'm looking for. I just want to make sure that the people here who have taken their time to come up and speak, at least get some reaction from this commission, which just, never mind, I won't get into it.
Suspend the rules.
So anyway, go ahead. So can we do that?
So let's get a consensus. Shall we put this on the agenda? Jeff?
Yes.
Yes.
I hadn't gotten to you yet. Christine?
Any of us have the ability to do it. You don't
Right.
have to call. for
So then we
consensus.
can just throw that on there. Okay, Jeff, you good?
We're good?
Good?
Can we clarify what we just agreed to?
Feel free. Jeff,
So what
this is
happened?
yours. He needs clarification on what we have just agreed.
That we have agreed to put it as a regular agenda item on the next commission meeting, very similar to number 14 that's on the current agenda.
That's correct.
That's-
So that
that's
way
what you
it's in
mean.
the front of the meeting to where the people that come here can be involved in the discussion regarding what we're deciding.
Right, because we will have comments again. Okay, so does that suit you?
Yes, it does.
All right. So Kelly, got it? Good to go. All right, now, where were we? We were on regular, now I'm totally lost. 9 is canceled, correct?
We'd actually moved item 14 to the front.
Oh, true. Okay, so we are going to bring item 14, agenda item 14, which is discussion related to refinancing modification of town hall.
Approve the consent agenda?
We need the consent
Do we need,
agenda.
oh, we have to do that because you just added to it. All right, let's approve the consent agenda.
So moved.
Second.
It is the consent agenda as amended.
Right.
As amended. All right, so we have a motion, we have a second. Jeff?
Yes.
Aye?
Aye.
Yep.
Aye?
Aye.
Aye. Consent agenda approved as amended. Correct? Okay, so now, back to 14, correct? Is that where we are?
14.
Right? Oh, because we're moving 14 up. All right, that I believe, Lynn, is that? Discussion related to refinancing modification of town hall loan, yes. Interim Manager Ladner, would you please advise us on this item?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. The town hall debt that was issued in 2007 is based on LIBOR, the London Overnight Bank Rate, to determine the interest rate. At some point after that, the town entered into a swap agreement to set the interest rate at a fixed point, not the variable, but the underlying rate is still based on LIBOR, and we now must modify or refinance that instrument because LIBOR is being financed or being phased out in June of 2023. As a town, I don't understand LIBOR or variable rate interests. That's not something I do. Bank of America has recommended what they suggest, which is a transition to what is called a SOFR, S-O-F-R, which is another variable rate system. What does it stand for? Stands for.
Don't worry about it, just keep going.
Okay. So it's basically another variable rate. We don't have to do this evening. Basically, we can do SOFR, BSBY, again, is another term I'm not familiar with. We have just over $1 million left on this loan. It comes and is fully paid off in 2027, so there's 5 years left. As I had talked to several of you about, one of the things that we could consider is, are there additional things that we want to do to town hall? Because this was the original town hall loan, additional capital investments. As we're refinancing this loan, is there additional debt we want to take out to make improvements to town hall? Maybe in addition, is this something that we just want to refinance this capital amount? Do we want to pay off this loan out of cash reserves and just pay it off, not have to worry about that? Do we want to take Bank of America's advice and roll over into this SOFR and keep the swap contract? They sent me an email last week, which again, I am not someone that really understands all of what they are saying, but they gave me a rate as of that day, which made no sense to me in terms of whether it was a good investment for the city to get into or not. the transition, so they're really pushing for us to refinance.
What was the rate?
Well, it wasn't a rate, it was a dollar amount. It was $30,000 as an MTM rate. Again, it's a variable rate, so it's not something I am comfortable making that decision on because it's, they're telling me an amount as the MTM rate, and I'm like, well, that's not a interest rate, that's an amount to refinance. It makes no sense to me that we would just, that you would just give me an amount. Why aren't you giving me an interest rate?
Mayor, may I make some comments? And
Please.
I'm sorry to interrupt, Lynn.
No.
I think there's two things that potentially could come out of this discussion. We're not making a decision tonight. I would like to see the two things that could come out of this potential discussion and vote is, one, we will not be using our reserve funds to sunset this loan at the time. There's $1 million outstanding. The second thing that I'd like to maybe see come out of this conversation is none of us are municipal finance experts, and I would like to see us as a town engage with one to not only look at this loan, but the other loans that we have, look at our capital improvement projects over the next 5 to 10 years, look at what they believe is going to happen with interest rates, and give us a consolidated, concise picture overall financially.
How,
Excuse me. Sorry, Matt has apparently left.
I know. This would have been a good one for him.
How time sensitive is that?
Well,
June.
it phases out
June.
June 30th of 2023. Bank of America
Maybe break
doesn't
it up.
want us to wait until the last minute, they said, because if they have a whole bunch of these, they don't want to wait until they've got a whole bunch of contracts. So the sooner we work on this, the better.
So where are we with Matt?
Where are we with?
Well, this whole presentation was to sell us on his firm?
What was, with Matt, it was to determine if we want to get our, do we want to move forward with investing with
Right, but
Florida
he also
Class?
said he provides a financial advisor
Right,
who could handle
that they can handle advising us.
advising us on
Yes.
the exact bullet sheet you just said.
Yes.
So why don't we consensus and tell Lynn, yes, we'd like to move forward with the Maddox, go ahead and explore it or do whatever you gotta do. And then we kill two birds with one stone.
To utilize his financial services.
Right. See what I'm saying?
But the way that I understood,
He may not specifically do that.
I understood him was that he does not deal with debt.
He
And
doesn't deal
especially
with
not
debt. If
municipal
he,
debt.
if he
So
does,
That's not true. He said he would advise us.
he would advise us. He does not handle placing debt.
Correct.
But he does advise. He can look at everything we're doing and give us advice.
If we're gonna do that, I think we need more than one option and more than one person standing at the podium to bring this forward.
How much?
Yes,
Again,
again,
I'm trying to get consensus from you guys that this is an issue. It's not an immediate issue, but it's one we need to start working on now. Can we, and I'm not saying it's not Matt, but can we have a couple of options? Who are specific municipal financial advisors? What do they bring to the party? How much would they charge us? How comprehensive would their piece be? And tie this loan in as just one of the components.
So, but the only thing I would disagree is time sensitive. Because we are time sensitive. In June, whatever our rate is, which apparently we don't know, is going to go up. In June.
Correct. So could staff not look at presenting us 3 options for a financial advisor with how much they cost and how quickly their timeline is? And we could have it presented at our next agenda meeting?
Yes, I can do that.
And vote on it?
Well, let me just go back to Lynn's expertise, because Lynn's the one that alerted the town and alerted the commissioners to this FL class thing, which I'm kind of amazed that previous town managers didn't tell us this was a program existing. But haven't you dealt with all these various firms? And this is the one that,
I have dealt with this one. I have also dealt with Florida Safe. There are a couple of others as well. So I can bring others to the next meeting.
okay.
All right, but
Well, again,
the decision that we're actually talking about is, instead of necessarily tying it to Matt, who doesn't really work this, looking for an independent financial advisor, that you can wrap all the, possibly at least put those out there for us.
Yes.
Wrap all the situations together and give us some options.
Yes.
How much
And then we
money
have
do we
several.
have outstanding at this moment? We have the
$1
town
million.
hall
What's a
loan.
million then?
Well,
million for
we
town
have the
hall?
town hall loan,
Yeah,
and
the
we
drainage.
also have the drainage loan.
The drainage.
So, we've got that as the SRF. So,
And the total on the two.
I'm not sure the exact balance on the drainage loan right now. We just made a payment. I think it's, I want to say it's close to another million.
Another
So
million?
we have
Mhm.
$2 million
approximately.
I
outstanding.
don't know if it's
in
that high,
debt.
because it's
It might
expiring
not be that
26,
high.
27.
That might
higher
have
than
been the original
Yeah,
balance.
I think it's less.
That might have been the
What do you
original
say?
balance.
So
We just
the
made it
point,
200.
the point of asking this is?
The point of asking is that if we have that much debt outstanding, we definitely need to hire somebody that's professional and that
Exactly.
absolutely knows what they're doing.
So could we
Yes.
bring, could you get this
Yes.
together for us to bring us some choices? We could make a decision and, next meeting and then go forward with some advice, right? Just how does that sound?
Yeah.
Are you gonna be able to do that by the next meeting?
Most definitely.
Yeah,
Just remember, June.
no, I know.
Right,
Yeah,
yeah,
we
it's
have
done,
this-
We hire him
signed
next
off on.
time and then he gives us options and the next one we pick an option.
And one last thing I'll add is, I agree with Christine, we should not be reaching into reserves to pay this off. I think when you actually get the numbers, they're not gonna be that high, because how can a loan be expiring in 2-3 years and we still own $1 million on one loan? It just doesn't seem possible, but whatever, the next meeting, we'll have the real numbers of the loans. We'll have a couple candidates who wanna come present.
Do we need 2 meetings in order to change this, this expiring LIBOR loan potentially through ordinance? Or is that a simple unanimous decision or non-unanimous?
Commissioner decision.
I'll get with Mrs. Ladner, because I'm not aware that it's by ordinance. Usually financing is done through resolution, but we'll take a look at it just to make sure that
And on
it's
the
not
resolution, we
ordinance.
can do that in a one meeting.
The resolution instructs the town manager to move forward.
So the last date for resolution would be the June
Right,
town
we
meeting.
need to go back and look at how the original debt is distributed, before it goes through resolution, which usually it is, and if it is, then it's to refinance another resolution.
And the other thing that I would like to know is, for the next meeting, I would like to know what is going to happen if we pass this LIBOR expiration date and we haven't done anything. Is the loan being called, or is what's the scenario at that point? So I would like to have an answer from Bank of America as to what they're doing at that particular point
What that means.
contractually.
All right, so we're all basically in the same, we kind of switch this around, public comment, then commissioner comment. So let's open the floor for public comment. Bill, please.
You're hired.
Kind of miss you up here.
Bill Bessler, 5906 Old Ocean Boulevard. That BBSY sets up Bloomsburg's short-term yield. So all they're doing here is LIBOR is disappearing. So they have to come up with a new mechanism to come up with the variable rate. But my understanding is you swap this to a fixed rate. Am I wrong?
Right, with a swap, but it's still based on LIBOR, so we've got the swap contract that is connected to the LIBOR, so.
Are you sure a fixed rate is with LIBOR? A fixed rate is a fixed rate.
But the swap contract is still attached to the LIBOR.
Right, but whoever, you pay both, right? You pay that, what happened is, because I looked at this a couple of years ago with you guys, the same thing you went through, is I wanted to get away from the fix because interest rates were so low, and you kind of made a mistake. Now, it wasn't really a mistake, nobody can guess interest rates, but when you swapped it, you went from a low rate to a fixed rate. Like if you ever go to get a mortgage, nor if you look at variable rates, they're lower than a fixed rate because they make their little cushion at that point. You pick the fixed rate. You picked the variable rate, then you swapped it for a fixed rate, but it's a fixed rate. Fixed rate is not based on LIBOR. You've got a fixed rate. That's their problem because all they're doing is changing that LIBOR number. It's not going to exist in June of 23, so you got to come up with an alternate. That's either BBSY, which is at Bloomsburg, or SOFR. That's all your choice is, but you still got a fixed rate. If you look at your financial statements, because like I said, we went through this, you get two numbers. You've got what you're paying for variable, and then you got this surcharge to get up to your fixed rate, because you actually end up paying the fixed rate.
What you're saying was locked in.
You're locked in, it's a fixed rate. Has nothing to do with lock.
So there's a legal question right there, that if there is a fixed rate, even though it might be tied in the original agreement to LIBOR, once it becomes a fixed rate and they're changing LIBOR, what do we care?
That's my understanding, we talked about this in the beginning, and then
Right.
you got busy, it was the holidays, so I never finished it, but that was my understanding when we started this.
Good point.
Okay, thank you, Phil.
You're welcome.
Any other public comment on this item? Terry?
It better be technical.
No, you want a Cherry Brown, you want to be debt-free. Pay it off. Someone said it's not on the agenda tonight. It's an item on the agenda. You can discuss it and make a decision. Pay this off in one payment. I think the reoccurring payments are $450,000. Is that correct? You're going to have revenue from that money that you take it out of reserve and you pay it off. You have tax revenue coming in and you don't have that debt. It makes sense. And you're going to put this on one meeting, another meeting. It'll be June or July before you make any decision on it.
Thank you. Any other public comment on this item? All right, so we have, let's entertain we had our commissioner comments, correct? I think we already went through that. So let's entertain a motion on our direction.
I'd like to move that we allow staff to research a minimum of 3 municipal financial advisors to be hired and voted upon next month to give us not only direction for debt consolidation, but also our reserves monies and any other outstanding CIP plans that we have that would be using large amounts of funds.
Anybody want a second?
Can I add to that motion? And have legal look into the existing contract with Bank of America as far as the fixed rate, as stated by Mr. Bessler.
Are you good with it?
Absolutely.
All right, we need a second.
I'll second, if I can, since I have it.
Do we need to wait for Mr. Cos?
Yeah. Shouldn't you wait for Steve? You just go in the bath?
Are we just going with the should we wait?
Yeah, he's-
We didn't need the details.
See, he was quick.
You didn't have to wait for me. I figured you'd carry on.
No,
We're
no, no.
voting.
You
We had a motion.
you gotta have your
No,
X
no,
by
no,
your
no.
name when
You
you.
want to give the quick version of the motion so that Mr. Cos can hear it? No, not even going there, huh?
What are we voting on? Did you say
We're
yes?
voting
just
on,
gonna go on the vote.
next month, we're going to bring in 3 financial advisors to discuss everything
So
from
this
the reserves to the
consensus?
change.
Yes, fine.
So, there you go. All right, Martin?
Yes.
Yes? Yes?
Yes.
Yes.
Unanimous.
Motion carries unanimously.
Moving.
Okay, then, so,
Back to number 8.
yeah, right, back to number 8. We have jumped around. Okay. Agenda item number 8, approval of employment contract with Police Chief Richard Jones. Attorney Godot, would you please update us on this item?
Yes, Madam Mayor, thank you. This is to review the draft employment contract with Chief Jones. We did receive direction from the town commission to prepare an employment contract for Chief Jones. The draft that you have in the back of the agenda is based in part on the prior chief's contract, and it's also based in part on some language that might look familiar, the new town manager search contract that we drafted up and prepared. It's also based on some language in that. There are some highlights in the backup, a couple of things to just bring to your attention with one decision that needs to be made. The real decision that needs to be made is one of the discussion points. Laura Donald from our office worked with Chief Jones on this, is whether or not to set a term in the contract or leave it indefinite. As you know, the town manager's contract is an indefinite term. And either party can terminate, or obviously the employee can resign. In this case, it's drafted with both provisions so that you can see the difference. What the commission would need to decide on tonight is if it wants to set a term or if it wants to go with the indefinite term. That's really the only decision. The rest of the agreement just highlighted provisions to draw your attention to different issues. I did provide an email with some more specific details last week, and if you need me to discuss anything further, I'm happy to.
All right then, let's open the floor for public comment, please. Do we have any public, hello, yet?
Janet Shines, 120 Dolphin. I'm going to apologize for leaving as soon as I'm done. I have a flight to catch. First of all, I would just like to say thank you for listening to me, and I've neglected to say Happy New Year, so Happy New Year. And appreciate everything you guys are doing. I'd like to speak on behalf of Chief Jones. I've been very impressed with how the town is being run from the police department since he's taken over. I think he really thinks through the issues that the town is going through. He's thinking with a future mindset. This was evidenced by our discussion last month around the EMT training and getting more of our officers trained, which we're so proud at the Strawberry Civic Committee to help to fund. And I think these kinds of things that are trying to improve the life of our community are good. I also see more enforcement. And frankly, at least in our neighborhood, we had some real problems with people, we're right off Beachway, so people tend to think our neighborhood is the neighborhood for them to walk their dog, drink their beer, smoke their cigars, have their parties. And we've had a really good but fair, approach to, since Chief Jones has taken over, to dealing with those nuisances without making the town unfriendly. And I think that's really key. And so I just wanted to speak up tonight and say, it's very hard to get someone who cares about your town the way the residents do. It's very difficult to get someone who's willing to forsake family and personal life balance and be there at every turn to try to make your town better. And sometimes, we're a little difficult as residents. I'm not going to say we're not. And to have that balance between the difficulty of the residents and doing what's right and following the law, I think is something Chief Jones demonstrates every single day. And I'm very proud to have him as our chief, and I would highly encourage you to get this contract done. I do understand that sometimes there's timing issues, and maybe it's something you can't approve right now, but I did, on behalf of myself and my husband, where I want to speak up and say thank you, Chief Jones, for your service, and we certainly hope that you'll stay with us a long time. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have any other public comment? Anybody else want to speak on this issue? All right, public comments now closed. I'll open the floor for commission discussion. Commissioner Pugh, do you have something you want to?
Are we going to discuss which of these options
That's
we're
what-
going to go
yep.
through there? All right, so let's discuss them.
Okay.
So we're going to
You're
do a
gonna
term, or are we going to, basically, you have the term, or you have the non-term? So you want to start with that, or do
Yes,
you want to move
yes.
on? Which one do you want to do?
Let's talk with the term. That's the.
Well, I think we should
outstanding
stay
one.
with the term.
3 years is what Laura suggested?
Correct, 3 years, and you can always do like a 1 year option or a 2 1-year option or something like that. It's up to you.
Do we need to
3
decide,
years.
do we need to decide the option, whether it's 1 or 2 years now?
You do not.
Okay.
No.
Anything you want to add to that?
So if we're not deciding, so what are we deciding?
The
now?
term, no, he said there's an option as well as the term.
Well, it says approval of it.
Yeah, it says approval of it, so you have to, no, then you're deciding it right now.
Exactly.
So to say that we're not deciding it right now, which one is it?
Are you giving a contract or not? That's one. And then 2, you're deciding is it a term contract or is it not? Is it an indefinite contract, like the town
Well,
manager's
then
contract?
we
So it's two
should,
things that were.
all right, but then we should.
And I'd like to bring another issue forward. I would like to see a discussion as to whether or not we are comfortable having a supermajority requirement for termination without cause.
So
Right, let's stay
Mayor-
on the term first, and
So
then we'll get
Mayor, you're running the meeting, so you
Let's
have.
stay on the term.
So you have to make a decision, where are we gonna go first? We're gonna go for approving the contract and then approving the fact of giving him a contract. I think that would be the first thing to do.
Do we need to separate that?
Then deciding the terms of that contract, right?
Do we need to separate that, or we can include the contract with the term? So we're going to separate it as to, do we want the
Yes,
contract?
separate it.
Okay, so let's,
Okay, so the whole reason we have the contract is because there was direction to draft the contract. So if the first order of business is whether or not you still want to go forward with the contract, I think we should probably discuss that before we get into particulars about the contract.
all right, Jeffrey? Do we want a contract?
Yes, I want a
Okay, that's all
contract.
we need to know.
Yes.
I'm a no, but for
You're like hanging.
reasons
You need to calm it down.
that I hope everyone can understand, including the chief, because I like the chief and he's the guy for the job. I don't like this whole concept, what are we waiting, 6 weeks to hire a town manager? Of hiring, I put it this way, hiring the COO and then 6 weeks later hiring the CEO. And let's say the CEO and the COO don't get along at all. And the COO is now in a position to sabotage the CEO. So I just think we got a great police chief, we got a great police department. We can discuss the terms of the contract and all that, but as far as actually executing the contract, I would want the chief to have met the new town manager before any of that takes place.
Martin?
So part of the contract is that if the chief decides that he's not happy with the position anymore, he can terminate the agreement and there will not be any severance pay. Is that correct? Do I read that right? That's correct. So in that case, I don't see where, if the chief is not happy with the town manager that is coming in, where he would be in any disadvantage, or where the town would be in any disadvantage financially at least, where we're gonna pay extra for that. The more underlying question in this whole thing is, as far as other towns, I wish that Janet would be here so she can hear this. So we have, and indulge me here for a second. So we have, in a lot of municipalities, we only have the town manager that has a contract. So it's not like we were withholding a contract on the chief. And I heard that out on the street, that there was rumors flying around that we would not give the chief a contract. That was not the case. Municipalities in general do not give the chief of police a contract. There's some that
I
do.
totally disagree with that.
There's some that do. Hold on, stay with me.
Mr. Martell, please. I mean, really?
Just stay with me. So this is the way that it's done. However, in our town, we have the chief of police who is hired by the town manager and who is, as of this point, hired by a previous town manager.
Okay, please, let's not, let's not.
No, it's Dr. Martell, it's not Mr. Martell.
Shall we take a recess? I believe we should take a 5-minute recess here. Let's take a 5-minute recess. And then we'll go forward and you can pick up.
This conference will now be recorded.
Respect. If you want it yourself, you have to give it. Let's please be respectful.
RESPCT?
Find out what that means for me. So,
RSPCT.
okay, so we're separating. Are we in favor of the contract? Then we'll discuss.
Well, it looks
terms.
like we all were.
I think we were. Oh wait, we hadn't. You were talking. That's
basically the point that I was trying to make. That the rumors that were flying around town that we were not giving the chief of police a contract on purpose are simply untrue. Most municipalities don't have a contract with them. Some of them do. In our particular case, the town manager is the one that hires the police chief. And it is only the commissioners, only us up here, whoever sits up here at that point, that can fire the chief of police. So it is a very unique situation. And because it is such a unique situation where only we fired the town manager and we fired the chief of police, I believe that both of them should have a contract.
Okay, can I add one thing to that as well? We really do not fire the chief. What we do, we approve the firing from the town manager asks us, hey, this is what, so we're actually approving the town manager firing the police chief, not you as standing. However, what I know is discussed is that the last 2 to 3 police chiefs we have had contracts. And what the biggest part of it is, it provides an indemnity to the town, which it spells out exactly what happens if it doesn't work out. Why would you not want to do something that makes it easy if things go sideways? Which, let's face it, we had a couple times where things went sideways in this town with the chief of police, as residents who've been here a long time know. So
So you're in favor?
I'm in favor. Let's just.
Okay.
In favor.
I'm in favor as well without any discussion.
Is Smokey in favor?
Are we
You already said no.
voting to?
We are now voting to accept the contract.
Not the
No,
terms.
Not the terms.
no. We're voting to approve that there will be a contract.
That's correct.
I'm a no.
I know.
Oh, no, wait a minute.
No.
Yeah, you were not.
No, but on a voting to approve there will be. No, I'm a no.
But Jeff is right.
All right then.
Thanks, Sarah.
Yes, 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 no,
Yes.
yes. All right. Now, where are we? So now we are separating contract world from terms, correct?
Correct.
All right.
Or-
Commissioner Pugh, would you like to start this part of the discussion?
Yeah, we'll just go down the line. Basically, first one is a 3-year contract where just no,
Or evergreen.
yeah, I would say with the 3-year contract and renew it every 3 years. Because you don't know what changes in 3 years.
3-year contract renewed for 3 years?
What would change?
Well, put it this way, say that the mechanism of how we do things here in the town of Ocean Ridge. You know, say that you have, I'll give you an example. Say that the severance pay right now is at 16 weeks. You know, the average, I guess, is 20 weeks, or the most you can do is 20 weeks. You don't know that the state of Florida may change that. You know, different legislators may change different legislation regarding how these contracts are done. So why have something that we're constantly changing when we can at least we know every 3 years? Okay, let's discuss it again. You could always use it as a reset period for the chief too. Hey, chief, you know, in 3 years, you know, maybe you need to kick it into gear a little bit more. I mean, or he's doing a great job. And you know what I'm saying is that it gives you some leeway. If you have it forever and, you know, then all of a sudden you have to discuss it.
Then don't we need to do that with the town manager's contract too, which is indefinite?
Yeah, well, no, you do your evaluations, and those evaluations, which we should really go over, are poor, to say the least, of
Let's
how
stay
you really
right.
evaluate with 1 through 5 or 1 through 3 or whatever the heck.
Let's
it
stay
is.
on this one.
Do
So
that every year.
So I'm saying
renewal?
3 years is my
3-year term with 3-year renewal?
No, 2
2-year renewal.
or 1.
It says here,
Well,
2
what?
additional 1-year terms.
Yes.
Is that what you're agreeing to,
That's correct.
as written?
So I told you.
Commissioner?
I agree on that, but I'd still like to bring up another point later.
Okay.
After we agree upon this.
So I just
Steve?
have one question for the town attorney. We have to give the chief 90 days. What happens at the end of the term if the chief doesn't continue? There's no severance payment or anything like that, correct?
So I can answer that. I actually volunteered to work the 90-day period so that you wouldn't be in a predicament that if we reached the end of a term, you would be without a chief for a long period of time. It was originally set with the previous chiefs at 60 days. I requested to go to 90 days, and I volunteered to also give you 90 days notice if I choose to leave.
Is that in here someplace?
That is-
Okay,
Yes.
yes, I'm all set.
That was his suggestion. Martin?
I don't need terms. I'm okay with an indefinite. I don't see a reason why it needs to be a term. We have the ability to terminate the agreement at any point that we choose.
So you're no on the 3-year term?
Well, we have the ability to terminate within 3 years, but we then have to pay severance, correct?
Depends on the termination. If it's termination without cause,
Right.
yes.
Yeah.
If he does the release.
So just to speed things along, we have 4 yeses and 1 no.
Well, I
right?
haven't gotten to me yet.
Oh.
All right, so you're a no?
I'm a no.
Okay.
On term.
I'm a yes, 3 years with what we have written here as our draft, 2 additional 1-year terms, unless, and you're good with this. All right, so where are we? 4 to 1?
Yep.
Okay, there's our
Do we need a motion, or can we just go?
Is this
with it?
just, are we working on more here and then we put it all in one motion? Or is there something else we need to?
There's just consensus, I'm taking notes.
Okay,
That's
so
fine.
it's a consensus. All right, those were the two main things. Do we need the contract? Do we have the term? Is there anything else in there that you need a consensus for, Christie?
No, everything else is as written unless there's something at your pleasure that you want to bring up, and I believe the vice mayor had another issue she wanted to address.
All right, Vice Mayor?
I would like to see, based on some of our historical things that have happened in the past, that a supermajority requirement is necessary for releasing the chief without cause. It was very disruptive in the past. It divided our community, and it took, a better part of a year for everybody to even out and balance. And we have a wonderful chief, and I don't think only 3 of us should be able to make that determination. I think there needs to be at least 4 people that truly agree if it is without cause.
Commissioner Pugh, do you have some input there?
Yeah, I'm totally against that. I think that I've been through that, and sitting up here when we had a chief who was, in my opinion, was not conducive to this town. And if it was a supermajority, he may even still be here. So it took the 3 of us to make tough decision to, accept his resignation. And I believe that we should keep it as it is. And that way, because bad things can happen.
Yep.
And when they happen, I mean, you're right, you're going to have separation of people who are going to know they love the guy or they don't like the guy, whatever. But a lot of times it comes down to what's best for the town. And sometimes it's a hard decision. And I think a supermajority would be very hard to get. Get 4 people to decide on anything is even tough, even on this board, as you can see.
Mr. Collins?
No supermajority, and I think actually I have an ally here in the town attorney. There's a 2013 state law that makes supermajorities very difficult. Is that not correct?
You can do it contractually, but from a legal standpoint, we typically do not recommend them, just because for the purposes that I think Commissioner Pugh mentioned, that circumstances change, and while, there might be a majority in favor of something at a current time point, that can change, and so we just don't typically recommend it. But certainly not in employment contracts.
Right.
But it's not illegal.
No.
It's not illegal.
And so is it geared towards the employment contract or in general on anything?
In employment contracts, there's times like you might put something in your charter where you require a supermajority, and that's certainly at your pleasure. Obviously, this decision is at your pleasure. We just don't recommend it from an employment contract standpoint.
Hey, Commissioner Vucek?
In that case, I would be a no too.
I would be a no as well.
Okay.
All right, so it's 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay,
But
so.
it's a valid thought.
Yeah, well, I've heard the discussion before. All right, so those are the decisions we were going to make. So now do we entertain a motion on the approval of the employment contract, including the terms as mentioned?
So moved.
Second.
All right. Commissioner Pugh, how do you vote?
Oh, yes.
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 So what do I do here, Chrissy, if I only like
I mean-
part A, not part B?
If you don't like it, then you would vote, I believe, against it.
If I have a problem with
If
one of
you
the
have a problem
parts?
with it.
So I can't make the second.
No, I'll make the second.
Okay,
Okay.
I'm a no.
Commissioner Vucek?
Yes.
Yes. All right.
From a Robert's Rules of Order standpoint, you can be a second even if you vote against the motion.
Oh.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow, that's nuts.
What else?
All right. Motion carries 4-1, correct? All right then. Good to go.
No clapping for the chief.
Congratulations.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's right.
everybody clapped all night long for the most bizarre trick. Really?
Okay, so we took item number 9 off, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so 10, let's go to 10. All right, agenda item number 10, request from 11 Osprey Drive for the refund of permit fees in the amount of $35,046.88 for canceled permit number 22440 Building official Guy, would you please update us?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So this request is from a vacant lot at the corner of Osprey Drive and Beachway. A year ago, this property was granted a development plan review for a new single-family home. The owners have decided that they wanted to change contractors and delay construction for various reasons. However, their request for a refund happened after the 30-day limit, that I could do that administratively. And our administrative rules allow for 70%. However, it's of the pleasure of the commission if you guys wanted to go as much as 100% refund. But this is just another method of the client being able to recover some funds and then further on before the summer actually attain a new building contractor and then proceed in more line with their personal needs. Thank you.
All right, I will open the floor for public comment on this matter. Do we have any public comment?
Is the applicant here?
No.
I will close the floor for public comment. All right, let's open the floor for commissioner discussion.
Is that the complete total cost of our cost in the breakout here from the 30,000 permit fee? Then you have the breakout costs, you have the surcharge, the review fee, scanning fee, and engineering fee. Do those fees represent all our costs?
There was some cost that was included because the actual permit was actually reviewed by the various trades engineering. So the actual cost is not the whole thing because the project did not go, full thing. So there's some amount that had to do with inspections and stuff, which is why there is actually some, allowable.
Okay, so I guess my question is, where it says building permit fee, $30,575. Now, that was just a charge that we charged them when they brought it in there and when they accepted the permit, correct? Now, of all the fees that I guess I'm trying to understand, I want to make sure that the town has been reimbursed for all the fees that, and all the costs that we have undertaken. Because I mean, I don't like getting somebody's money back, but I want to make sure the town's people are made whole for what we have put out. So that, I guess that's my question. The money that you have here, I guess is about $5,000. Is that everything? That's a yes or no, is it everything?
The surcharge, we have already paid to the county. The plan review fee, that includes fees to like the planner, everything like that. The scanning fee, we've already incurred, the engineering fee. So of the 35,046.88, those fees we've already incurred. So I wouldn't recommend refunding those. We've also incurred inspection and land development review fees. So of the building permit fees, that's why we generally would only give 70% of that 30,575 back.
That's exactly what I have written in my notes from the staff meeting.
Right.
70%, to your question, Jeff. This ignores the countless town hours spent that basically takes money away from other projects, and then we refund that money. So I have my notes written, it was 70%, but that would mean that they would pay, we would refund 21,000. And then that extra money would make damn sure to take care of your problem, Jeff, and all these items that we've already paid.
I guess the question is that enough?
For all the fees
That's right.
associated
That is
with
a
it.
question.
So the answer is yes, 30% would be no.
Okay.
No, I have one more question on that. The 70% that they're getting, I'm sorry, the 30% that they're not getting refunded. If in June, July, they're coming forward with the same project, with the same plans, with the same everything, will we at that point, well, obviously we will be charging them again the building permit fee. However, would it be, if there's no changes made on the plans, is there an ability for us to give them a credit at that point towards the building permit fee? So that you know, you have reviewed it already, they're coming with the same exact plans back to you. No changes, man.
So for us to know that there is no changes, we have to go through the process.
He has to review it.
Right,
That's the
right.
problem. So you gotta review it. I mean,
Which
trust
is
but
my
verify.
problem, I didn't review it.
Yeah, but it's not worth $35,000. In other
No,
words,
what, 20,
it's like an,
30%.
no,
Because we're
you're saying if they
refunding
come
something.
back again, are you gonna charge them $35,000? And that's nuts. If
Yeah,
it's
but
a
we're
6-month
refunding them now
hiatus,
20,000.
I know that, but if this was a fresh case, it would be $35,000 total. So when they come back in the summer, are we gonna charge them $35,000 again?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because
So I agree with Marcus' point then, that's nuts.
No,
Well,
that.
he didn't
no,
say it was
that's not
nuts,
my
he just
point.
asked.
No, listen to my point here. My point was that if there is an ability for the building official to, so they're getting 70% back, they're getting 20,000 back. So we're not really charging them 35,000. We're giving them 20,000 back. 15 or 16,000 is what they would come, that's what they would, the extra cost that they would incur based on the decision of them
I'll buy
pulling
that.
the permit.
Okay.
All right? So, but my question to that was that if there is any way that we would save, we as a town would save, then maybe that is something that we would be able to give them.
So why don't we cross that bridge in
Right.
June
I
and see
guess,
what,
yes.
That's what I
what
was,
they bring
I'm over
back?
it.
all right, did we have your comment on this one?
I'd just like to move to a motion.
Well, what's your comment on the 70% versus,
Yes,
okay,
70% of the 30,000
35 is,
$21,402.50.
Yeah,
What?
Come on.
21,402.50.
that's what she said.
I move to approve the request for
You
building
just
permit.
stole my motion.
Yeah, hold on there. Number one, give me a chance to say, I too agree with the 70%. So now we will need a motion.
Second.
We have 2 seconds.
All right, everybody in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed?
And to clarify, move to approve $21,402.50.
There you go, the exact amount in the
Otherwise
motion.
Kelly's gonna.
Sorry, Kelly. Okay,
All right.
motion carries. All right, but let me say one thing here. We're looking at a lot of, this is a refund on work not being done. It's a little bit different, but over the times, we're looking at a lot of fee waivers. Do we need to, at one point or other, start discussing this, that could be pulled into one of our ordinances or what have you? Because we seem to be giving back a whole lot of money, a lot. And every time
This
we're.
was totally different though. This is. a
No, I know, I
cancel
said,
permit.
I said I know it wasn't the same thing, but just as we're talking fees, just throwing that out there, it's something to consider ahead. All right, where are we? 11,
12.
12?
11 was pulled, right?
No, 11
11
moved
is
the consent
approved.
agenda.
11 went to the consent agenda. Exactimo. All right, so, okay, where are we? Second reading of ordinance 2022-10. Ordinance Town Commission, Ocean Ridge, authorizing amendment of the town's comprehensive plan to end property rights element as required by section 163. This should actually be Kelly's voice,
Yes.
isn't it? Right? Kelly, want to go there? You can see I'm trying to push.
Ordinance number 2022-10, an ordinance of the Town Commission of the Town of Ocean Ridge, Florida, authorizing the amendment of the town's comprehensive plan to add the property rights element as required by section 163.3177 Florida statutes, and providing for repeal of conflicting ordinances, severability, transmittal, inclusion in the comprehensive plan, and an effective date.
All right, Attorney Godot, would you please update us on this?
Yes, Madam Mayor, this is a required amendment to the comprehensive plan to add the property rights element. It was passed in 2021 by the state legislature to require a property rights element be added to your comprehensive plan. The language of the ordinance tracks the language that's required in the statute.
And there it is. All right, public comment, pardon me, second reading. Okay, I will open the floor to public comment. Mr. Brown?
Well, it's really not about the ordinance itself. You're going to be facing more of this. Is it not on?
No.
I don't see a red light.
Is it on now?
Yes.
It's on now.
You're going to be facing more of this from the legislature and the governor who just won re-election, these things are going to be coming down to municipalities and local government telling you what to do. Now, property rights sounds like a great thing, but it's going to backfire on you if you don't review your ordinances and your comprehensive plan for development. Someone's going to come in here and want a 20-story condo, and that's going to be property rights. So I'm only urging you hire a consultant and you look at your codes and you look at everything that's involved with development, because it's all about money. It's all about people wanting to make money, cashing out, and they don't care about you, they'll be gone.
All right then. Any other public comment? All right, public comment is now closed. Any commission discussion on this?
Housekeeping.
Any commission discussion on this? Right, it's basically housekeeping.
Yep, we already voted.
All right, so right, this is our second reading. There you go.
Make a motion to approve ordinance number 2022-10 on second reading.
Second.
All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries unanimously. All right, next. All right, agenda item 13, first reading of ordinance number 2023-01. Town Clerk Avery, would you please read into the record the ordinance by title?
Ordinance 2023-01, an ordinance of the town of Ocean Ridge, Florida, amending its code of ordinances at chapter 67, article 3, division 2, section 67-52, entitled Commencement and Duration of Construction, to set the maximum duration for construction in all zoning districts to 2 years and for other purposes, providing for repeal of conflicting ordinances, severability, and an effective date.
All right, Attorney Godot or Guy, who wants to take this one on?
Madam Mayor, I'll go ahead and take a shot at it.
He's not even making eye contact.
So this ordinance proposes an amendment to 6752, which sets forth the local duration of construction. Currently, under this section of the code, it has a 1 year or 2 year duration of construction. The 2 year is for residential estates zoning district. That's the duration of construction. It does give for a 6-month extension that can be issued by the building official for construction duration. The change to this would be to make all zoning districts the same, to a 2 year initial duration of construction, plus then the 6-month additional extension from the building official. After the initial 30 months, then you'd be required to come to the town commission if you need a further extension of the duration of construction. And it would also require the payment of the original permit fee as a penalty if you didn't finish within 30 months. This ordinance change only deals with the duration of construction. It doesn't make any change to the waiver of the permit fees that we currently allow under a separate ordinance.
All right. I will now open the floor for public discussion. Nobody? All right then, public comment now closed. Open the floor for commissioner discussion. Commissioner Pugh, you want to start us off?
Yeah, it's, this is what we were talking about from
Yep.
all these, we're referring, giving their money back and everything else because they can't get the house done. So this is a good start.
All right, Commissioner Hayes?
Agreed. The one thing I'd like to just have everybody think about though, is this is, I think, very contemporaneous with the situation that we have with supply-demand chains, and I would not like to see this be considered as a permanent change. I think at some point the world's going to get its stuff back together, and 30 months to build a single-family home, regular single-family home, is disruptive to the neighborhoods. It's sometimes the contractors are not as professional as they need to be, and we've been very good about tightening our code enforcement. But I would just, that's my only caveat. I would be in favor of passing it, but I just think that the building official needs to keep the commission and the residents aware of any industry changes that might might make this null and void.
Fair enough. Commissioner Cos?
Yeah, I discussed this very point with Christie. The 2 years is due to current conditions, supply chain, COVID, whatever you want to call it. So I suggested we sunset in 2025, but Christie said that's not necessary because the town manager will keep track of this, and in 2025, bring it to our attention so we can revisit.
Same thing. Commissioner Beeslak?
So I disagree with this. We had clear guidance from the Planning and Zoning Board, to which we had kicked that here from the dais, and they came back with a recommendation to not do any changes on this particular ordinance, to leave it the way it is, and then we can deal with it on a case-by-case basis as needed. My only concession that I would make is I would like to have, I don't see why it shouldn't be in there, why it shouldn't sunshine.
Sunset.
I'm sorry. Sunshine law.
Yeah, right?
I'm looking at the code of ethics book here. Sunset, why it shouldn't sunset, it's an easy addition that we can make to this ordinance. I don't agree with a 2-year construction. I think at best, I would like to see an 18-month during that sunset period, or during the period until it sunsets, with the 6 months extension to make it 2 years maximum. As the Planning and Zoning Board had discussed very openly and very upfront, and I believe it was unanimous too. It is very, very disruptive towards the neighbors, and construction is not something that anybody really is happy with. So if we can limit and put some pressure on the contractors and on the owners, I think it's just right.
All right, I agree with this as written, but I understand the concept of revisiting it down the road. Do we need to really put that in?
No.
I don't
No.
believe we need to put that in if we're already stating that we're going to have a
I
revisit.
would like to see it put in because we all 5 may not be sitting here 2 years, 3 years, 4 years from here. So I would like to have a toggle somewhere that is legally binding that says it will be
revisited regardless.
Stick it in
of-
the electronic town manager's calendar. Right?
I'd like to see
She
a
wants to see
sunset
that
clause.
in. You want to see that in there. Jeffrey?
I don't mind if you put it in there.
Okay,
I mean, it's okay.
so I'm the same thing. Stay awake till then. So I don't mind that either. It's called a revisit. It doesn't called necessarily a change. So I don't have a problem with, somebody wants to make a motion there?
So I'll make a motion to approve ordinance number 2023-1. With the amendment.
The sunset provision.
You wanna help
Well,
her?
the sunset provision of, in 2020, January 2026.
That's 3 years from now.
No, December 31, 2025.
December 31, 2025? Okay,
All right.
I'll take 24 too.
I'll second that.
All right, everybody in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion
opposed.
carries unanimously. Hey,
Can I do that?
no,
Make the motion?
make the motion and then go to,
Motion's just to get it this.
that's true.
Yeah, I'll
Okay,
oppose it.
so,
I'll be an official.
okay, so we already had 14, correct?
Mhm.
It's like, what is that, Groundhog Day? Okay, so 15, Planning and Zoning Commission report. Did we lose our P and Z people?
There was no P.
There was no report, we didn't have that. I saw 2 of them here earlier.
Yeah, but there was no P.
Yeah, no report. Okay, so interim town manager report.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. We began the month with the Light the Light celebration at Town Hall, and I want to thank everybody that attended the event. It was a great evening of fun, food, friends, and camaraderie enjoyed by all. Thank you to the members of the Garden Club that provided the delicious baked goods for everyone to enjoy. Thank you to Commissioner Martin Duchelek and his wife Sarah for donating the adult beverages for the event. And a very special thank you to Santa Claus for making a trip down from the North Pole to hear from the kids and take pictures with the guests at the event. It always brings a little Christmas magic to have him at the event. In early December, I had the privilege of presenting at the Resource X Symposium on Fiscal Sustainability within Local Government. I've worked with that organization for several years under their previous priority-based budgeting model, which has now become a software-based system to ensure community goals and priorities are tied to the long-term and annual budget and capital planning. We're seeing several projects that have been in the planning or development stage with Town Hall moving into the in-process or completion stages, which has been very good for staff morale. We're moving forward with the contract to have all historical town files scanned and indexed, which will make accessible the records for the public as they will be available on the town website, which will significantly reduce the need to submit public records requests to the town. And when those requests are submitted, reduce the time to fulfill those requests. The town's website will be refreshed in early 2023, along with some updated features and better mobile device capability and viewability. The final schedule for that rollout of the update has not yet been set, but I know we are looking forward to the update and the increased availability of our records to the public. Please watch the monthly newsletter for more information on the rollout of both of those projects. In early 2022, the Commission approved the construction of an additional public works storage facility on the Town Hall property. We approved this evening a couple of different things on that. In November and December, this project has been moving forward with the soil boring taking place to ensure proper considerations and steps are taking place to lay the foundation for the building and to make sure that the area can sustain the weight of the structure and equipment housed in that building, as well as meet the necessary building codes to withstand potential storms in the area. Quote was received on the concrete foundation. The next steps of the project moving forward will be the construction of the foundation and the building will begin. Watch for the project to take shape in early 2023. As the new year begins, we will be saying goodbye to two of our Town Hall employees. Lisa Burns, after celebrating her 20-year anniversary with the town, is leaving Ocean Ridge. She recently relocated out of the area and has chosen to take an opportunity closer to her newer home. We will miss her knowledge and dedication to the community. Danielle Valdez is also transitioning away from Ocean Ridge after serving as a dispatcher for the police department and most recently as deputy town clerk. She has accepted a new position elsewhere. We will miss her smile and upbeat attitude when she greets everyone that visits Town Hall. Both Lisa and Danielle will be missed, and we wish them the best of luck in their new endeavors.
Thank you very much. All right. Agenda item 17, Town Attorney.
I got a couple of questions.
Yes, sir.
The, Rick Carey brought this up and Janet Shines. When we, I don't know if you were here, we're getting new lights in on Ocean Avenue.
FP&L, my understanding is you guys have told FP&L you do not want the LED lights, and that's the way we are proceeding, yes.
Okay.
I told them no
Referencing on Ocean
LEDs.
Avenue though, where the town light fixtures,
Yeah.
Billy was in the process of replacing under the current budget
Yeah.
process. Is that the ones you're referencing?
Yes, the ones on the pole on the
The
east side of the bridge.
The decorative.
I just want to make sure we don't create a whole mess there like apparently it's
I
happening.
know that there's been a lot of research going into that. I've heard Billy talking about trying to get fixtures that were not LED fixtures. He is having extreme difficulty trying to find non-LED fixtures to replace those.
They do have warm LED.
That's
Right.
correct, and if you'll notice, a lot of the light fixtures that we've been replacing within the building have settings on them where they can be changed to
Yeah.
actually have different color textures too. So there are some options that he's looking at, but I don't know what all those options are.
The only thing I would say on the ones where you can change the settings, it just sounds like something else that can go wrong versus getting just the warm.
Right, the one I want.
And as for the light by Mrs. Shines, I have reached out to FP&L and asked them to put up additional shields. I am waiting to hear back from them. I have a direct contact with someone. Billy has his contact that he works with at FP&L, and I have reached out to an additional contact.
Excellent.
And just to be clear on that particular light was a requirement for the crosswalk that needed to be installed, and I believe that particular light is not your typical street light that would be installed anywhere else. It's a specific fixture that puts out a certain amount of light that was necessary to comply with FDOT, which required a certain amount of lumen on the entire crosswalk.
But a shield to the east
And that's
side.
why there's also 3 of them in very close proximity.
But that
So It's
doesn't
a
mean
very
that,
unique situation as far as the town is concerned.
right, but we want to make
Ms.
sure that we
Shine's
shield it
property
from their,
definitely
their
has an
property.
impact.
Correct.
Okay, second thing, Sailfish Lane, 16 Sailfish Lane. I think the chief and you hopefully have discussed this, the blight, which we ran into last year. Now they've increased the blight to include a dishwasher sitting in that driveway.
Yes, I had code
What
enforcement go by on Friday and take a look at it. They have not been able to determine anything other than they were switching out the dishwasher.
So it's just temporary.
So it
Because
was
the residents were
temporary.
telling me it's been there for a week.
Because I did, as soon as I was contacted, I had code enforcement go over.
Yeah, I know they were headed, but I never got a report back.
And I wasn't here on Friday, I apologize, but I'll follow up on it.
You know the house.
Yeah, I know exactly what you're.
And they've now increased the breed.
I'll drive by there in the morning as well.
And last thing, the town newsletter, League of Women Candidate Forum. So even if you don't have a moderator, when you go to put these things out, just put it out.
Well, it's on the website at the moment.
Okay, and you're gonna put it in the newsletter in time?
Whoa.
The newsletter?
Be nice.
You'll have it in the newsletter.
It will be in the newsletter.
Very good, thanks.
All right. 17, Town Attorney Godot, would you please give us an update on the town manager search?
Yes, I know that Mr. Bainziger has been providing updates to the town commission via email. But just to give an overall update is the ad closes tomorrow. And as of his last update on January 3rd, he had received 14 applicants with 5 that he characterized as strong candidates. He's hopeful that in the last week of the position being advertised, they'll get a lot more. January 12th, we will get an update on the final number of applicants that came in. He will then commence their internal screening and reference checking and provide a report to the town on January 27th. And then, as you know, we are scheduled for January 30th for the reception with the 5 or so candidates that his firm has narrowed the search down to. And the 31st with interviews and potential selection.
Thank you. Is there anything else you need to report to us?
No.
Did I misunderstand? It closes in 2 days and he only has 14, but he says it gets a rush in the last week?
No, 14 was earlier.
14 as of January 3rd. He
Okay.
received-
And now
I
it
missed
closes
that.
and he's expecting some more between the 3rd and
Right.
tomorrow.
I misheard.
Right.
Madam Mayor, while we are on the subject, with the reception on the 30th,
Correct.
does the commission have any direction for staff on what you would like us to do to prepare for that reception in terms of food, beverage, setup?
Oysters, lobster.
Caviar. What time is the reception? Does anybody remember?
I don't know if he in his schedule provided a time. I think
Okay, so that would have a lot to do with what we expect. So let's find out the details on that, which we can, you have it?
He
He
doesn't,
just had
Okay.
a town tour and holds reception for finalists on.
Okay, so let's find out.
But then right
and-
after that, it says when we vote. I think it was 5:30 or something. Right?
Was that on 30th? No.
That's the next day, isn't
no,
it?
that was the next day on the 31st.
Sure.
She's got the thing.
Okay,
Okay, so let's find out what time he would like to have tour reception, and then we can give you some direction. Okay,
Who's doing the tour? I mean,
Yeah.
there's a lot of,
let's get his time, we'll figure this out from him.
well, I'd also like his recommendation for 30 grand. I think he should be telling us what we want. Honestly,
I know.
I'm not terribly impressed at this point.
Okay, then. Chief Jones, would you please present your report?
Yes, thank you, first of all, for the contract approval. I appreciate that. It does give comfort in the job, which is obviously, as you all know, a unique position to be in. Where we have legal issues as well as political issues to navigate. So, thank you. The report is nothing unusual. It's consistent with previous month's report. As you notice, activity during holiday time is typically lower than activity during the rest of the month. I think everybody starts to get a little lazy. But it'll pick back up again as January progresses. It's not abnormally low, but it's not as proactive in the month of December or November as it was prior. As far as the fire EMS report goes, you'll notice that 1/3 of those calls for service exceed 9 minutes, which is obviously a reinforcement that we need to obviously move forward with the EMT program. I've already met with a variety of vendors regarding training and trying to get that program up and going, and we will start training in February to proceed with that, as well as some additional training in July. So that will, I will update you as we move forward. I would like to invite everybody to the first annual crime prevention seminar, which will be housed here at Town Hall on February 1st from 5 to 8 p.m. This event is a new event that one of our officers dreamed up, and it will have guests that will be present to talk to you about different types of security mechanisms, technology, how that can all be integrated into your home to make things safer, as well as some physical security measures such as certain type of hedges and those kind of things that you may want to plant in certain areas of your home. As well as we'll be unleashing some new programs that we're offering. You like that?
Unleashing.
Those programs, the Combat Auto Theft Program, which we talked about and worked on in the previous year, is now going to be formally released. Crime prevention through environmental design. The Medical ID Program, which goes hand in hand with the EMT program. Alarm monitoring, which we currently have, but will enhance with our new alarm monitoring system that we purchased last year. The Dark House program and changes to it. The Are You OK program, which is a program that we're going to be launching for seniors who live alone, so we can keep an eye on them and make sure that they have what they need. And then Community License Plate Recognition Program, how it works and how we can continue to enhance that over time and its effect on crime in our community. If you have any questions, I'll be more than happy to answer them regarding the report. If not, I would like to show everyone the new signs for Old Ocean.
So.
That is the parking sign, and that is the speed limit sign. So there are additional parts that are still being processed, but I literally took delivery of those today, so I wanted to be able to show them to you. The backers will be arriving hopefully within the next 30 days, and they are progressively working on them, but it's a task. And then all of the local traffic only signs from the same manufacturer already have been ordered and are probably going to be following the release of these hopefully in the next coming days. So as far as signage, that's all we have. And that's a just for us.
So Chief, I had a question about is it February 1st meeting?
Correct.
From 5 to 8? It's a 3-hour-long meeting?
It's not a meeting. It's
Okay,
just.
I'm just
So you're gonna
asking.
go rob the house as well?
You can just come anytime between those hours. 'Cause
Okay.
the folks will be here during that period of time, but you're not expected to be here during the entire period.
Okay, well, thank you for that clarification, because a couple of people had asked me, they didn't know if there was presentations at certain time, certain
This is more of
things.
a one-on-one type
Okay.
offering, so you actually get the opportunity to speak one-on-one with these folks that are going to be present, including some of our staff.
Okay, thank you.
So what are you gonna do about the elephant in the room here? These Ocean Ridge residents that are vandalizing Boynton?
So I wanted to make sure you guys didn't have any serious questions.
I have one.
About that.
I do have a serious question. Before we get into the elephant, but gentleman's question regarding his pod. So what are we gonna do, what can we do about that?
So traditionally, pods have never been authorized beyond the 30-day term. We have.
Well, he said
14.
14 days. Now you say 30 days?
No, we've never had one beyond 30 days. The
Never.
town managers have given an extension up to 30 days, but we have never, ever had one beyond 30 days. We have seen pods come and then be taken away and stored, because they do offer that service, and then return the pod at the conclusion of whatever the event may have been, whether it was a house fire or construction. But we've never seen a pod sit in town on a piece of property for that period of time, which is why I believe the town manager suggested that he come before the commission as a whole rather than that'd be an unusual decision for her to make.
So you can grant the exception. So we're at the point of, you see where you're at, you can, 30 day, looks like 30 days is the longest they've been allowed here. And does that help you out?
Not really, I guess I really don't understand, but you can keep a dumpster in a driveway for the duration of construction. You can keep a construction, a trailer for like an office trailer on site.
That's true. So there's a construction site, right?
And, I'm sorry.
Is this a construction site?
Yeah.
So if it's a construction site, that's a very valid point.
So we
Is
don't
he looking
fight
at
the
it right now?
ordinances, we just follow.
Right,
them.
exactly right.
What I would suggest is if there's the opportunity for a trailer to be placed there, why not rent a trailer? If there's an active permit, then he meets the definition of that permit, and then he doesn't need the pod to be sitting there.
But then at the same, I mean, okay, so let's just think this through for a moment. At the same time, why not then have the pod? You know?
That's a violation of your ordinance.
The pod is specific for somebody that is moving. The thing comes, you load your stuff in it, they pick up the thing, they move it to your next location, you unload it there. That's the pod. That's
But
the
in
intention
order
of
to
the
make
pod.
this change, we'd have to have an ordinance, which would take, correct?
You would have to exempt your ordinance because the town manager nor I have the
Have the
ability to
ability.
do that.
Right.
And you would have to keep in mind that that is a violation of the ordinance, and you start to set the stage for what you're exempting now moving forward.
It's a precedent.
How long do you need that pod for?
6 months. I mean, till end of May, the
Contract.
second week of June. We just got the permit and on the 22nd of December, just started on the 3rd. So.
Yeah, he's
I'm not
looking for
doing it.
storage during his entire construction
I'm not
project.
doing a new build, so stuff has to come in and out as this section is being done, that section is being done. But again, I mean, I'm seeing dumpsters forever in driveways, and it's the same thing with other things that are in driveways
So we-
for construction.
So we'd have to make a change to allow that.
Well, and I think part of
They don't want to take that.
Hold on.
I think part of the rationale may have been when the ordinance was created, that you have a hurricane season and time frame where those portable things like a dumpster or, you know, any of those kind of things can be easily removed without having to be emptied or stored or arrangements made. That's something you call today, you get it picked up today. Maybe if the commission wants to grant an exception, the exception be granted with the knowledge that if we are approaching any kind of storm, that that has to be removed prior to the storm event.
I'm sure Mr. Lieberman wants to keep the belongings that he keeps in his pot.
I
That's
don't
flying
know,
over
I
my
don't know
house.
the full rationale of why the ordinance was created the way
Right.
it was by the body.
Oh, I can understand why. I think you're going down a slippery slope. So let's say that Terry wants to keep an office next to his house. He sets up a pod, puts in the air condition. You know, in other words, you're creating a storage shed that you can put anywhere on your property. So I can understand why the ordinance is in place. I don't understand if we can exempt just one permit, one violation, whatever you want to call it.
Well, the difference between what you're talking about would be an accessory structure versus a temporary structure.
Yeah, but I just say it's got my furniture in it. I'm fixing my kitchen.
Well,
Yeah, but that's a shed's
no, because
an ancillary structure. A temporary structure would be something that's mobile, can be mobile, like the pod or the dumpster or the trailer, which I think is trailer, I mean,
An
not a
option.
bad idea, you can rent a trailer. I mean, we're trying to help you out here without going down a slippery slope where we grant you an exception and everybody else can, like, once that goes out, next thing you know, we're gonna be inundated with those types of
But keep
exceptions.
in mind too, like you do code enforcement, so somebody's always gonna be on site, whether it's the inspector or people driving by that are part of the town enforcement, they look at it. And if they see it's anything other than storage, then it's a problem.
Can I ask Durrani a question? So anybody who pulls a permit, regardless of the size of the permit, can have a trailer on their property during the entire term of,
Dumpster, sure.
and a dumpster?
Yes, Madam Vice Mayor, this is usually reserved for a single family home. If someone is doing a kitchen remodel, there's no reason to have an air conditioned office for the contractor to be in there working.
But I understand the differentiation. I'm asking for clarification how our code reads. So does our code, as it stands, as far-fetched as it may seem, but if you were doing a kitchen remodel, could you have, during the time of your permit and your construction period, a trailer and or a dumpster permanently on your site for the next 8 to 12 months?
The duration of the
The
contract.
duration of the contract.
Depending on the size of the project, we have some very large estate lots in town. Yes, if it is a small build, a condo, that would not be rational and would not be allowed.
What about a
Depends on
normal
the scale.
family house, single family residence?
Right, it's totally unusual.
But they can.
Durrani, that's not what the vice mayor is
Yeah,
asking.
they
The vice
can.
mayor is asking if our code allows it. It's a very simple legal question. Does our code allow it? Yes, no.
If it is justifiable, the answer is yes.
So in the code it says justifiable?
Yes. I mean, you have to
It does?
request it, you have to apply for the
So if it
construction
says
trade. So
justifiable,
you can't justify if someone, again, is at a condo, doing a condo remodel, who wants to put in a construction trailer,
Right.
I would consider that unreasonable.
But a single-family home.
But we need to clarify, we're talking about a construction trailer, as in an air-conditioned
Right.
structure that's permanently affixed, versus a two-wheel trailer that you pull to the construction site behind a pickup
Mhm.
truck and you park it there for the duration of the job because it contains your tools. That is permitted under our ordinance. So is the dumpster. If there's an active permit, then enforcement is not allowed on those two things. However, you cannot park a U-Haul there for the duration of the period of time. So there are differences between what is allowed probably by site,
But you
by
could park a
purpose.
U-Haul trailer.
No,
No.
Nope.
no.
That's what you just said.
Because
Nope.
that's a
lettering on it?
vehicle,
Construction
which is
trailer, where
probably
you can sit in
different.
there with
But
your AC and do
by
the.
definition of the ordinance, you would be able to. That would be a question that we would have to.
I had contractors that, on projects that I was doing, I had contracts that come with a 20-foot enclosed trailer, and they have everything in there, from their generators to their power tools.
And that's the
One of them had a
purpose
whole
behind allowing it.
beautiful wood workshop set up in his trailer.
So Christine, are you saying you want to revisit this at the next meeting?
No.
No, I'm just, how do we help?
No, no,
this?
it's two separate items now.
The section
So
of
help
the
me in this
code,
one.
the section of the code that's at question here is section 64-49, temporary structures. And how it reads is temporary structures in connection with building construction or land development projects within the town may be erected for occupancy by personnel involved with the construction or land development project in accordance with section 67-9 of this code. No temporary structure other than is permitted herein in connection with building construction or land development may be constructed, placed, or maintained on any lot without a temporary structure permit issued by the administrative officer for a period not to exceed 2 weeks, which is what he has been granted, is that 2-week permit. So what he's asking is for a waiver, an exemption, an extension of that administrative officer permit for that temporary structure under 64-49.
Do we have the power to do that, Crystal?
We want.
Well, no, that's what I'm saying. Do that at this meeting, then revisit the next meeting and harden up this ordinance that is strangely worded.
Because it's only in relation to construction or land development temporary structures, not any other temporary structures.
So I have a question real quick. So say you granted it 30 days. So the 30th day, he has it removed and he brings it back 2 days later. Do we get he gets another 30 days?
The administrative permit could be done that way. It could be done it's 14 days.
It would give
Trying to help you
various-
out. So I'm trying to help you out without really getting the town in really in a
It
ringer.
would potentially get very expensive for him because those fees that he has to pay every time they come and pick it up and bring it back.
So let me play devil's advocate, and we're trying to help you. We just need to flesh everything out. We just had a discussion about construction sites and the length that we allow construction site and the disruption to the neighborhood and other things like that. as a devil's advocate, I would be opposed to having a pod in my neighbor's driveway next door, potentially for 6 months. Especially if I weren't allowed to do it when I was moving. When you're moving, it takes you, 2 months to pack up your house, figure it out, but I'd only be allowed 14 days. So I just want to make sure that whatever we do is A, transparent, but B, equitable. And it doesn't set a precedence for the next 10 meetings where we've got everybody lining up asking for the exact same thing, which is what we've seen happen with our permitting fees and some other things like that. So I'm just throwing out all the law of unintended consequences and pieces that need to be considered.
So if we're going by the idea of basically of blight, construction blight, right? We have already temporary the fences with the shielding that we put in place in order to shield construction sites from first view.
But I don't believe that that's the case here.
That is not the case. But again, if we do this, we could make it mandatory that there's some kind of shielding placed around the pod where it's not visible from the street. Behind a green, one of those green, whatever they call those things.
I think the pod's more attractive than those green fences, frankly. So can we do this, Christie? Can we help this gentleman out and schedule a heartier agenda discussion to make sure we don't run into your problem?
But you're talking about an exemption to that by helping him out? You're talking about an exemption? Which again then opens up, like you said, concern about exemptions becoming the everyday situation.
Which is why we put it on the next month's agenda.
Well, how time sensitive is it for you, Mr. Lee?
I mean, they want to start like Thursday. I was going to have something drop Wednesday or Thursday this week.
Well, then, if we're in your shoes, and I would take the 30-day deal. If we're going to revisit this later in next month, at least you're getting 30 days that you have and you put the stuff in there. And if you have to have it moved and brought back a couple days later, it is what it is to get you where you need to go. Because it's hard for us to, at this point in time, make that decision that could change everything. And to the vice mayor's point, there are some people that would literally come in here and, a mushroom cloud of something, if there was a pod next to their house for 30 days or 40 days. So
I just don't understand is, I mean, you're allowing dumpsters to sit in somebody's driveway for the duration of construction and office trailers, which I've witnessed, but you can't have a pod. I understand exactly everything you're saying. I appreciate the 30 days, but it really doesn't make any sense.
it doesn't. But sometimes
what
what
it is
happens
right
is
there,
these things come before us. You make an ordinance. You can't think of everything that could possibly happen. So what happens is something like in this situation comes before us, then all of a sudden you have to rethink, okay, I got to rethink that ordinance, and it's exactly right. Because to your point, right, if you have all this other materials that are on a job site, why couldn't you have some kind of storage, like those things that float on the freighters?
Container.
The container. You could have a container there and put all your stuff in. So, I mean, those are things but that's what happens month after month.
That's the way we fix them. Things change. Right? It wasn't part of the deal.
Send another email. I don't want to drag this out. I'll send another email asking for a 30-day instead of a 2-week.
That's what I would do.
Okay.
So then, just for clarification, so if instead of it being a pod and it had 2 wheels on it and it would be a trailer that has a license plate on it, that would fly.
Why don't you loan them yours?
Don't you look at me like that,
Mark?
But there was a specific trailer.
Why don't you loan them your
for
trailer? You got a
construction,
trailer,
right?
you can loan them over there.
I actually, matter of fact, don't have one.
You don't?
I have only open trailer.
Oh.
No, right, but you can't have.
Right, that's what he's saying.
But that's my thought, instead of, I mean, if.
No, I agree with you, but see, then he's buying a trailer, and I don't know if you can rent those type of trailers, but we're getting way too in the weeds.
Yeah, we totally are, because here's the deal. This is this is a logical exception. We understand where, I get it. But it wasn't in the paperwork at the time that we had made these arrangements. So it's like the odd thing that might come up later for other situations, so we're kind of.
Possibility is the code was even written before pods became.
Yeah, very well, yeah.
Available.
Very well
I mean,
could have
you
been.
know, and that's, you know, that's the good and the bad about, you know, government and ordinances and codes, but they're living documents, they change. So
Where are we going with this?
a living document.
I mean, we're not gonna be able to answer.
Give us 30 days, and by the way, if we do rewrite the ordinance, he'll get an additional 60 days, which will take you to your time frame.
That's right.
We give you 30 days. Next meeting, we're gonna have a discussion about fixing this ordinance. That'll be a first read, which then takes another 30 days, which then has a second read, which takes another 30 days. So
See, by default.
You might, by default, hit May. Just remind us what I said. Yeah.
On the record.
So that means then we have to, at this point, decide that we want to have an ordinance change.
Well, no, we'll review
coming
the
in front
ordinance
of us.
and then decide if we're gonna change it.
And once
So the
we start
question-
reviewing, hold on, because there's a technical question here. So once we start, if in 30 days, we sit down and we said, okay, we start reviewing this ordinance, we want to have an ordinance change on it. At that moment, they're basically in limbo, right? And in limbo, they have a stake.
No.
They would have to comply with the existing precedents, which would be a 30-day time period, end of the story.
Yeah.
But that doesn't
And
say
I
you couldn't
truly-
extend the 30
I
days.
truthfully
true.
feel like this should go, we always send stuff like this to P and Z.
Right.
Why are we
so
legislating off the
If we
dais?
are
Exactly.
doing something that's in chapter 64, 65, all the way through, it's in our zoning code, which would require it to go to planning and zoning for their
Exactly
advisory
right.
review first. And I can tell you from other cities that I work with, they usually have a specific ordinance on pods, because there are considerations, like the chief mentioned, about storms coming. There's specific requirement about where it is placed on the property. You gotta worry about site triangles, where it is on the
So
driveway, right of way.
I would prefer to have an ordinance specifically, like you said, about pods, rather than changing
Okay.
everything
Mhm.
else that we have.
So we send it, our concept here is to send it to P and Z to craft themselves an ordinance regarding pods.
And
With some
meanwhile,
input from Durant.
we put this gentleman in limbo like our coconut trimming ordinance, right? Until.
No, we're not. That's the thing.
No. He has it, but he needs additional days, additional months.
So then
The limbo
we
he
would have
wants.
to put them in limbo right now.
So just clarify, so I can get one delivered, I have 30 days to keep.
At least 30 days, and
what
then
happens there?
we'll do everything in our power to get you another 30 days and another 30 days.
Okay, so I don't understand. So if we're agreeing that we're most likely want to change this ordinance in the first place, then
No.
why
Make
don't
a
we
new
get
one.
a special
New one.
exception?
New
We're
one.
making a new one.
Or a new ordinance? Then why don't we, and this would be obviously, I would assume covered.
When the new ordinance is complete, which will not be
I
anytime soon.
understand, but then why can't we give a special exception on this particular case right now?
We just did.
No, you give him 30 days, which he has already.
Right, and if he runs into a problem, he'll come back to us, and hopefully he'll get an automatic
So
extension
that's
as we get
30
it.
days from now, we have to deal with it.
Does that work for you?
Better
Can
come
you
back
remember
with
any of
a-
that?
Thank you very much.
I certainly can.
Okay, one quick question for the town attorney. We do have that $450,000 line of credit on 6273, right?
Right.
We have it in our
Yeah.
possession. Okay.
Yes. Yes, we do.
Letter of credit.
Okay, so,
And to follow up on that question, is there anything in our policies and procedures when you're in the middle of a construction period and you're supposed to resubmit plans, that they have to do it within a certain amount of time rather than letting it linger, almost to the point where it's going to be so difficult, they come in on, 11th month, 29th day, we look at the plans and say, this is not what we agreed to, this is not going to be accepted. And then we're at the end of a time limit and we have a horrible choice on whether to rip the building down, do the line of credit. I mean, is there anything that in this situation and in other situations that, have a hard and fast timeline on?
for the plan.
For the plans, for a
Madam
second.
Mayor, what I would like to do is
Tell
go
me.
back and look at our agreement with the property
All right.
owner. I don't know offhand if there was any time frame on
On
their
the plan.
submittals. But I have been in contact with their attorneys and I will reach out to them tomorrow to find out the status on when we'll see those plans.
That would be great.
Because I do believe the sooner we see them, the better.
That's right, the sooner everything goes. That makes sense. All right, so where were we? We don't have a town engineer report, building official report. Mr. Guy.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. The report is in the package as listed. Town manager has just expressed that for building clerk for many years, 2 decades, has moved on. And I must compliment the staff that's here, that today we did a great job. We picked up our capes at the cleaners and good job. You're like ducks, we're moving real hard, but our goal is to seem like we're doing this seamlessly. And so far, everyone has stepped up to the plate. And I just, express thanks to the building department. It's day one so far, but we're doing okay. It's a learning curve. We're moving on. So, just a little apology to the town residents if we don't get back to you immediately on emails and probably phone calls right away, but we're playing a little catch up and we'll get there. And again, our plan is to make this seamless as best as we can. And again, just thank the staff that has stepped up, everybody, including Billy, to help operate. Okay, thank you.
Perfect. Okay, I'm going to run through this quickly, my little notes here. Although I said at the beginning of the meeting, I'll again wish everybody happy, healthy new year to our residents and staff. It's got to be a better one than the previous ones, right? Please know that COVID's still on the move. I know at least 8 folks in Ocean Ridge that were sick with the plague in December, so it's still out there. Be safe and careful. 2023 offers a lot of positives for Ocean Ridge. New town manager will be in place soon. Our IT projects are moving forward, bringing our record systems into the 20th century. Infrastructure projects are continual but necessary. Septic to Sewer Board should hopefully once again be going ahead with their excellent work. We're working with grant funding, searching for government funds for infrastructure, stormwater drainage, and environmental projects as they all dovetail. Many private projects that are moving and shaking around town, and our building department is exceedingly busy but doing a great job. I would like to add that we all live in a wonderful slice of heaven. As I speak to residents, the vast majority are extremely happy with their choice to be part of this community. So please, let's work together, show community spirit by being kind and friendly, because that's who we are. Really? You can't win here. All right then, let's see. What is our next thing here? Oh, okay, so we have commissioner comments. Commissioner Bischlach, would you like to discuss adding a referendum to the next possible election?
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move 22 over to the next month meeting because of time. We're at 9 o'clock, so I would like to have a discussion about that, and that's probably going to be a little bit longer discussion. 23 should be fairly quick. Cellular phones, we have to do ethics seminars here. Once you're an elected official, you have to do ethics seminars, so if you serve on any boards. In that, it has come to, in one of the seminars that we did in, I think it was October or November, there was one of the things that came very clear to me is that we need to be able to separate our cellular phones that we use personal or for business purposes from town business, and that has to do with being able to do public requests for records requests, as we had some, and just be able to quickly go through this and say, here's my phone, everything is on here, everything town related is on here, and not use our personal phones for anything town related. And that phone then would, once commissioner leaves, that phone would be handed over to the next commissioner, and it would be truly dedicated commission phones. I would like to know what the rest of my members here think.
I would be in support of that. There is a small but vocal faction of town that has overwhelmed us with public records requests and wanting things from emails to text to phone calls to all kinds of things. And I always like to have the ability to speak to any resident who wants to give me a call. And the only way that they have been able to do that is to use my personal cell phone, which is publicly announced. And I would just, I think not only for town indemnification, just if people know that it is a town number, sometimes you'd be surprised they're actually a little bit nicer. So I'm not even sure about that statement, but I would be in full support of it.
Commissioner Pugh?
I think it's a bad idea. But one thing I would like to see is that, he keeps bringing up how many years I've been up here. I have never once brought my phone and sat on this dais with my phone, because I believe that the phone is a distraction, and I'm supposed to be sitting up here doing the town's business and the people's business. So if I'm being texted or emailed on my phone and I'm constantly looking at my phone, my thinking is off of what I'm supposed to be doing, which is dealing with the business of the town. So I would be in agreement with that if we would have something that we would agree, it could be a gentleman and ladies agreement, that we would have no phones on the dais while we're in a town meeting.
Okay, but you have no problem with having.
I don't have a problem having a town phone. I think it's a
Right.
good idea, because then somebody asks for a public
Okay.
rescue request,
That's the
there's
point.
the phone.
Exactly right. Right, makes it easier. Commissioner Cos?
I keep my phone on Do Not Disturb, but I apologize to Jeff. I just texted Val and asked her to put the chicken pot pie in.
I heard it go.
See?
Right.
I don't care, whatever the commission wants. And I don't like carrying two phones, so I might be a little more difficult to reach. And that's about it.
Martin? You
He
good
already
with it,
said his
right?
piece.
Yep.
Right. I'm good with it too, for the reason that with that public records becomes really a bit of a problem. So I think we talked about this in staff. You brought this up a while ago too,
I
right?
brought this up several months ago because of the changes in public records
Right.
laws. It really does open your personal phone up to inspection,
Mm-hmm.
and you don't really have much of a choice. And if you fail to do that, you can actually be guilty of a misdemeanor.
Correct.
So I think with all the rules that have come down with regards to public records laws, it really makes the system easier. We don't even need your phone, the work phone, if we're issued one. If we've got a public records request, all of that is archived on the back end of our archive system. We can take care of the public records request. You don't even have to even know that the public records request was made. That's how we handle all of our departmental phones currently, as well as all of the departmental emails, including yours. So it would be very simple for the town clerk or whoever is handling that public records request to really take care of it. And the cost truly is about $55 per phone per month. So we're not talking about a huge cost or burden to the town. That includes the social archiving system that we use to capture all that data on the back end.
Correct. And what it costs probably for the public records digging and the hours spent and what have you, this would make everything so much smoother.
And the other advantage to the town residents would be that you actually have a published number. So when a resident wants to reach a particular commissioner, they do not have to call town hall. Town hall does not have to reach out to us if they're allowed to hand out the phone number to the resident, because it's our personal phone.
I would also recommend that if you all are interested in doing it, that we have, when you dial into town hall, that you could also be an extension that they could enter, and that would just go to your cell phone, rather than you having to publish. Maybe you don't want the cell phone number to self-published all the time, because, you may have, Mr. Ernest that was.
Town's phone number.
But there is no rule for that to be published.
Right.
So.
No, the extension's a good
It could be
idea.
done through an extension, and then they would still have to call town hall and just put in the extension in order to get to you. So it would kind of set the stage for being a more professional platform than just a cell phone, but that's just a business decision for you all. I just wanted to.
Okay, so do we need a
extend that.
consensus on the phones themselves? What would you like from us?
I think since it's an expenditure, you should take a vote on.
Need a motion, second? Ready? Do I hear a
I'll
motion?
make a motion to have 5 cell phones issued to the commissioners, starting as soon as staff is capable.
Have a second?
I'll do the second, but I'd like to add to that the numbers are used on our own PBX system, phone system, and are assigned an extension, so.
That's fine.
All right.
Can I vote present?
Pardon me?
Present?
Yeah.
No, you have to make a vote unless you have a comment.
Fine,
or
fine.
an appearance.
Okay, so everybody in favor, say aye. Everybody in favor, say aye.
Haven't you been watching
Aye.
that?
Aye.
Haven't you been watching?
Aye.
Yes. The House of
All right.
Representatives?
Yeah.
Speaker?
Yeah.
You don't
That's
wanna
not
vote
what-
for
Is
something
that where we want to
president.
go? All right, so motion carries unanimously.
And then,
What about the agreement, the gentleman's agreement about no bringing phones on the dais?
Oh, wait a minute, let me finish this one first. I don't have mine. Do we need to finish
Just
this?
one
I'll
thought.
handle it later.
Yes.
Just one thought, in the interim, before you get your town issued phone, if you receive a text or a voicemail, if you can, please forward it via email to your town email. Since all town emails are archived, any type of thing that you get like that, if you send it to your town email, it will be in the town email, can be searched for public records requests. So that's another way to address texts or emails you might get personally that deal with official town business.
Okay, send it forward. All
On
right.
that phone? Well, didn't you just say that,
No, in the interim.
In the
oh, the interim,
Right.
oh, yeah, you do that.
And your town email will be connected to the phone as well, so you can check your email and do all your email business through that device as well, which meets all of the security requirements that we've been trying to get going on our network anyway. So it truly is a
Moving
step
up.
up rather than bringing your own device.
All right. So
And I
that
will
one
move-
done? Did we have another one from
I
you?
will move 24 also to next one.
Thank you.
All right, what's our time here, since I don't have my phone?
9:20.
9:20? 9:18. I call the meeting adjourned at 9:18 PM.